3, 2, 1. I wasn't ready for how deep it was going to be.
That's what she said. I'm Cody Troutman, and this is my podcast. The Cody TroutPod.
That was scary.
Before we get started. 3,
2, 1.
That was kind of nice. We have a new face. There was 2 girls, 1 cup, 2 girls, 1 podcast.
Fuck.
We have Marisa.
Woo!
Yay!
Meow, 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 meow. Hello.
We're here in front of a live studio audience of 3 trillion single-celled organisms living on the carpet floor of this room.
Thank you all for coming. I'll vacuum you up later.
Yeah, Patrick was just so terrible last week that we fired his ass.
Yep.
And now we have
replaced
Marisa.
him. Sorry.
Marisa, what do you think is the most mildly interesting thing about you? Not there's the least interesting, there's the most interesting. What is the most medium interesting thing about
That
you?
I've never done my hair.
Really?
No. It looks greasy right now because we worked out, but yeah.
Mild flex.
What do you
never,
mean? Like
never
colored
dyed
it?
Never
colored it.
Never colored it. Never highlighted it. Never had to pay more than $35 for a haircut.
What a great choice of a mildly interesting fact.
Thank you.
Because it's
mine-
not so interesting that you wouldn't say that's super interesting, but it's interesting enough to be
Right.
like, huh.
You're like, really? No, people pay for your color. And I'm like,
no.
I know.
Wait, I
But-
just thought of, because we were talking about how Blake and I met. I just remember, I have to tell Blake, the way Marisa and I met was actually freshman year of college.
Literally.
We met through
Maybe
Anna.
I met you at a party or something.
So we met through our other friend Anna, and we had hung out like maybe 2 or 3 times, not that much, and it was all in a group.
Right.
And I remember we had known each other well enough to exchange numbers.
Right.
And this is fucking bad. And I did not
Wait,
know.
is this real?
Yeah, this is real.
Yeah.
And I knew
This is
Marisa
real.
well enough to like have her number because we'd been in a group text, but I didn't know her last name. So I put her in my phone as Marisa, in parentheses, Anna's friend. And it was like that for years.
Literally from like,
no.
I don't know, 2014-ish.
Yeah.
Till now.
So 7 years. And then the only reason we
Literally
changed
to now.
it is because Marisa, somehow you saw your contact in my
I think
phone.
I don't know if I like, no, I was putting my number in your
That's
phone.
right. So then like, months ago.
Yeah.
When we're trying to get all the pickleball shit scheduled, I'm like, let me add you to the group text.
Yeah.
And you're like, let me put my number in your phone. She types out her number and it pops up, Marisa,
Anna's friend. And I was like, that's all I'm known for is Anna's friend, which Anna's a great person. But like, I was like, I'm my own person too.
Oh,
like, here I
man.
am on the podcast.
I
being
remember
funny.
that was fucking funny. So
Yeah.
That is funny.
That's how me and Marisa
It was great.
met and then reconnected.
I literally looked at him. I was like, what?
And I remember even I was kind of like, wow, like that's unlike me.
It reminds me to go through my phone and delete all those numbers that I don't know, or like the random like PJs or like, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's
just like the
funny.
random.
You're like, that's very
deans
freshman
and-
UCO Cody of
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, listen.
Sure. You're like, I don't know her last name. I'm not going to try to look it up. I'm not going to do anything.
Fuck that bitch.
This is it. You were known as Anna's friend now. And I'm like, okay,
What if
well,
I had it like what would be like the most fucked up thing I could have put? Like, I'm
I don't
trying
know.
to think.
Marissa, blonde girl. I feel like that would be one of them.
Oh.
Marissa talks a lot.
What if I put like a number rating? Like,
That would be so bad, but you have it for everyone. Like you even have it for
everybody
like
in
your
my
mom.
phone. Mom, 7.5.
That would be so bad.
Great structure and home building, but not emotionally available. 7.5.
Oh no.
Oh, that'd be great. But
Explains a lot.
There we are. There we are. Marisa, welcome to the podcast.
Marisa, everybody.
I did have a really
my
good
life.
joke for like to really kick us off, get us in the right headspace though.
Okay.
So now, like ever since Patrick wasn't able to make it tonight, we have
Fuck that guy.
Yo,
Stupid.
fuck you, Patrick. Listen, Patrick, listen to me
busy.
right now. Homework. This is at my home, and this is work. This is homework, okay?
No.
Fuck you. You bailed on us. I will not let you back on the podcast until next week. You understand me?
Yeah.
Spanking.
You understand me, young man? That's right.
You get
But now
spankies.
that's left us with 2 girls and 1 guy. And I was thinking 2 girls, 1 cup? No. What about
I would throw up.
2 girls, 1 podcast plus 1 guy? It doesn't really work, but
Was that your joke?
2 girls,
that
1
was
pod.
it. That was the joke that I thought of when Patrick canceled. I said, it's for the best. This is the best joke I've ever heard. You know, and I workshopped it for a bit. That's the sad part, is I really was like, how can I make like 2 girls, 1 cup, 2 girls, 1 podcast, but there's also me as well. So at the date this comes out, Christmas is coming up. Christmas is coming. If Christmas was a person, he'd be coming all over all of us. But he is arriving more in the sense that the season is arriving, not necessarily coming as in like a sexual degradation act. And it reminds me, I hearken back to a Christmas of when I was a little boy. Hearken, it feels very, hearken's a festive word, you know?
Sure.
When I think of, like if I say, oh, I remember something, feels very summary. But if I say it harkens back to a memory I had, that's like, ooh, like I want to put on a jacket, sip some hot cocoa, and harken back to my childhood.
I'm getting like Scrooge vibes.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Scrooge, Slender Man kind of combined vibes.
I did play the role of Scrooge in this story. So the Christmas present that my parents got me, it was when Spy Kids had come out, and I was like, yo, like that's like I want to have pigtails that twirl around and let me fly into the air. I want to have all this shit. And so they got me some spy gear. And I'm like, all this shit, like it doesn't work, but one thing actually did. It was a listening device that you plugged headphones into it, and it looked like a little miniature satellite. And if you pointed it, you could it worked so good. You could hear, you know, I think it advertised like 50 feet or something. It went well beyond that. You could hear so fucking good. I was like, damn. So I got really into spying, and it became it became a real problem.
Parents' worst nightmare.
It became a real I would climb up my fence and like listen into the neighbor's house. I would take it to school in my backpack and try to like listen into different classrooms. Like it was the first time in my life where I was actually getting in trouble, like for misbehaving, because they would catch me like at the neighbor's house and stuff like that, like listening. Like one of my best friends lived across the street, and so like I would go into his backyard because I thought that, oh, we're best friends, I'm allowed back here, and I would like point it into their house, and I could hear things. And so that, you know, but when it really got to a point of no return was one time as I progressed in my espionage career, I learned the most important thing was not the gadgetry or the stunts. It was being in the right place at the right time. That required planning and patience. So I thought to myself, if I want to catch something real juicy, I got to plan ahead. And I knew that when my dad got an important phone call, he would go into the garage, into his truck, and he'd sit in his truck and take it. Because if it was like a work call, this is when I was a kid, our house was really small, and he would take his work calls in his truck. So one day, I decided I'm going to be in the right place at the right time. I took my little spy satellite. I think I took like some Captain Crunch cereal and like a little bottle of milk, and I laid down in the bed of my dad's truck. And
Oh my gosh.
Paige, you were watching. He doesn't do this now.
now I just like break into the house.
Okay, perfect.
So
you version.
what? And then, so lo and behold, I mean, I was out there for a good like hour and a half, 2 hours. I remember being super fucking bored. I was like, God, like this sucks. Like, is this really the life of a spy? And I thought all I need is like my first big break. And then like I'll be off to the races. I thought, you know, maybe like Spy Kids was going to call me and be like, you did some great work. Like exposing the fact that your dad was fucking his secretary. Like that, it may have ruined your family, but it boosted your espionage career.
Yeah.
Like, well done. You know, some secrets aren't meant to be discovered. But I'm laying back there, and lo and behold, like hour and a half later, my dad comes into the garage. I was like, oh, shit, oh my God. Like, and I was fully prepared that he would be like, what are you doing back here? But he just walked right by me and got in his truck. And at this point, it became real. I was like, oh my God, I'm really spying on my dad. Because most of the time they knew I was running around the house with a little satellite.
Right.
He really didn't know I was there. And I was like, this is really serious. Like, this is real now. And I was like,
Okay, but your dad taking phone calls in his car?
My
That's
parents did that too because me
Oh.
and my sister were too loud.
yeah, because he ran his own business. So a lot of
Yeah.
times it was like scheduling calls. He's a window cleaner. So it was like scheduling clients, and we were just really loud. And he didn't have like a house work phone. It was just like a cell
Okay.
phone that he would go to his car. That was like his office.
I just
To this day, he's still like during the work day, he'll have a break where he'll like get his appointment book and just like, and he does it in his car. Like it's always been his thing. But he just masturbates and stuff like that.
Sick.
So like he'll call the phone sex line.
Make sure it's really private.
Yeah, and but unfortunately, the cops busted him for window tint. So now there's no window tint. He gets to wave at passerby, and he's like, "Oh, gotta get back on." But at this particular juncture, it was not a masturbation. Thank God. I don't know what I would. But I'm like, "Oh my God, it's so big," But anyway, he's on the phone, and I hear him talking, and he's like, "Yeah, that works perfectly. Saturday afternoon." And he was like, "Yeah, no, we can meet you there." He said, "Just have her ready." And he was like, "No," and he said, "No, they don't know. It's going to be a total surprise." No, when the last time they asked for a dog, we said no. They have no idea. And I was like, oh, fuck. Because me and my sister had been begging my dad for a dog for a year. When I say me and my sister, I mean, first of all, I mean my sister and I, because I went to high school English class. Second of all, I mean just my sister, because I didn't want a fucking dog. My life was perfect. My sister had been begging my parents for a dog, and now he had just said that we were going on Saturday. Oh, and then he said the end of the conversation was, "Okay, I'll meet you 1 p.m. Bass Pro Shop parking lot." And that was, nice. So I was like, oh my God, I just got all the fucking details. Who do I call? Ghostbusters? I don't fucking know.
Who do I call?
And I felt horrible. I was like, oh my God. The surprise is over. And I was like, I wonder if this is really going down. So it was like a Wednesday. Saturday, we drive to Bass Pro Shop, and I'm like, oh my God, it's really fucking happening.
But did you tell your sister?
No, because I was so scared of getting caught. I thought there's no way I can expose myself. It'd be like telling on myself. It's like, I just can't do it. It's I don't even know of a good example, but like I know that phrase, like, everybody gets what you mean when you're like, oh, I can't tell on myself, But so we go to Bass Pro Shop, and we go by one of the big boats out front, and lo and behold, this lady comes walking up with a fucking dog. And I was like, oh, a dog. My sister's freaking out. She's crying.
Oh, God.
It's this huge, huge deal. And my parents cannot figure out why I was just like, cool, So they thought I hated the dog, which I did. But only for a little while, only for like 7 years. And
only for like 7 hours. No, 7 years. Actually.
7 years. And then I murdered it. So it was like perfect, it was great. But I don't waste. We cooked it. We ate it. No, I ended up loving the dog, but they couldn't figure out why I wasn't surprised. They thought I just hated it. And no, it was because I already knew what the fuck was going to happen.
Right.
And I think I told them like 10 years later. Yeah. Like I never told them, and they were like, what? And because they wondered why I retired from espionage.
You're like, I've heard enough.
Yeah.
That was my, treasure.
Like, I'm sure some people in the CIA retire after they're forced to like waterboard somebody for like 2 hours. But this was my breaking point. I was like, I've seen too much. Yeah. I know too much. The world is ugly when you get down to its underbelly and are exposing secrets. And I just couldn't take it.
Yeah.
That was my retirement.
Your sister.
Yeah. She
made it fun for her.
She lived in pure bliss. She hasn't seen the things I've seen.
Ooh. She wouldn't get it.
She doesn't know what I know.
What kind of dog was it?
A French bulldog.
Oh,
are you serious? You didn't love the French bulldog?
I did. After the first month, it took me like a month.
Yeah.
Because like it would pee in the house and stuff, and like go in my room, and I was like, what the fuck? Then I was like,
I'm not a French bulldog girl.
Really?
No. They're just really loud and slobbery. And
I know.
Yeah.
You like, I hated that, but it becomes endearing. I don't know how it becomes really endearing.
I have 2 dogs, and they don't really slobber, and then my friend has a lab, and it just slobbers all over my leg, and I almost vomit every time. Literally, I'm just like, please get it off.
Good boy.
I'm like, literally like, here, you want a snack? And I see the drool, and I'm like, I'm like trying to like, get myself together for it. But.
Is your friend one of those people that when the dog is like ferociously, disgustingly licking you, they're like, oh, that means they love you. They like you.
Yeah, they say like, oh, they love you. And then after about 6 minutes when your skin is raw, they're like, okay, stop. Stop,
like, give her a break.
Stop.
Give her a break.
Oh my God.
I love it.
But that was my retirement from espionage. And I want to know, because this still weighs on me heavily. Have you guys ever overheard a conversation that you weren't supposed to hear? Or in my case, has there been a gift exchange that went terribly wrong? Because in my defense, it was my parents' own doing that did this. They gave me the spy equipment.
Right.
It's like,
that's on them.
My
That's
child.
on them.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
My child was taken away by Child Protective Services because I gave him crack cocaine. And then in order to get more, he murdered somebody. And so that, again, that comes back to me. That was bad parenting. I should have waited till 7 years old to give him the crack cocaine.
Yeah.
So-
Right. Yeah.
But has there ever been a gift experience that's gone terrible, or have you ever overheard something you're not supposed to overhear?
I wouldn't say like that went terrible, but I would say, for the past 21 years of my life, I always knew where my parents hid the presents.
Really?
Yes.
Did you peek?
Oh yeah. Are you kidding? Absolutely. But then my mom got, after about 19, I'd say. I was 19 years old. She got a little more crafty and started wrapping the presents right when she got them to where I couldn't peek.
Smart.
But then I knew how she wrapped because she taught me.
Oh.
So I just unwrapped them and rewrapped them.
Did you really?
Only on 2 occasions because I really wanted to see if it was 1, the right size, and 2, if it was really what I wanted because I was still trying to
sex toy.
decide. Right. Yeah. And if it was pink, then I'd buy it. If it was
Gotta be
lime
the right
green, I'd
size.
buy it even harder. So, so I first discovered this whenever I was just a little child. I was probably 6 or 7. And we used to sleep on pallets in their floor. I don't know why. It's a weird thing, all the way up until only
It's not
2
weird.
years.
I think it's not weird because my brother and
Do you
I,
do the same?
well, my brother and I sleep in the same bed every year.
Okay, it's not
Christmas
weird.
Eve. So I mean,
That's fine. Do you
Is it your
guys-
Pallets.
stepbrother?
Nope.
I don't.
no, he's my full blood brother.
Oh,
But
do you guys
anyways,
cuddle?
no.
Oh, you don't touch. You're this is my side. This
Like-
is your side. If your feet
It's just
touches-
like a Christmas tradition, But you said the pallets. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not weird. I still
Yeah, I
sleep with
mean-
my brother.
I guess because I have a sister, it's not weird at all. So I guess
Yeah.
I feel that way about your brother.
Anyways, go
It's not
ahead.
weird.
Go ahead. The pallets.
So we were laying there one day, and my mom thought we were asleep. I never sleep. First off, secondly, I'm the
Stupid mom.
lightest.
Again, this is your mom's bad for being a bad mom and not knowing when you sleep.
Right, exactly. And I'm a light sleeper, so even if you made I could hear a pin drop, right? The tiniest noise, I could, heard that. Well,
Sure.
Sure. That pin, but also a little baby, anyways.
I get it.
I get it. Move on. So she walked in and I opened my eyes just a tiny bit and then would see where she went in her closet. And then so I knew where it was. And so every year since then, she always, would close her door and wrap the presents and then, put it in a hiding spot, the secret hiding spot. But no, it wasn't secret and you weren't crafty. I knew where everything was. So yeah, I would just sometimes, unwrap it. I only did it 2 times though, so I don't feel that bad.
So how did you get caught where your mom started wrapping them to keep the knowledge away from you?
Honestly, I'm pretty sure she just figured out one of them were moved
Oh no.
a little bit. And
Classic
so I was
espionage mistake.
and now that's where my OCD stems from, is from not wanting her to find out that I moved the presents. So there we go. I'm just a very organized girl. And if you move something, I will know. So
Okay.
that's great. Anyways, just a deep trauma, but just side note, deep trauma. But
So
yeah.
instead of saying I'm caught, you were like, okay, I have to put them exactly back where they were,
Right.
and rewrap them the same way.
okay, challenge fucking on, game on, sister. I'm ready to rumble. You will never know. You will never know anything happened. And so
How many times have you been in my house before today?
at least 6, including your whenever your dad was showering the other day.
Gotcha.
Anyways, I don't know. I have a thing with older men.
I'm
just kidding.
I thought I heard something, but I chalked it up to just the little people we have locked in our basement. I was like, why are they
Oh,
making
I
so
thought
much
I heard
noise?
them
But
whenever I came in, but I thought it was just ghosts or something. I ignored it. But
do you guys believe in ghosts?
Yes.
Really?
I do.
I can't decide.
I do only because I watch and listen to so much paranormal and ghosts
So,
and true
Paranormal
crime.
Activity?
Like the movie?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that was real. I think
No, they have you not seen it? It's a documentary
Yeah.
that really happened, and they just were kind enough to release the footage to the public.
Shut up. No, this was not real.
Yeah.
Okay, but no, yes, I do believe in ghosts.
Okay.
I feel like there's been weird things that have happened.
That was a ghost. That wasn't me. That was a
I
ghost.
love
There's
how you
been
Pick
weird.
the mic up and put it to your mouth just to.
Just for
There's
that.
been weird things that have happened before that I have experienced, and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking that was a ghost.
I should have just told my mom that those were ghosts touching and moving her presents.
Yeah, you should have. Do you?
I'm just
And
a
then
good
your
kid.
dad pops in and he's like, also, the affair, it was a ghost.
Yeah.
It wasn't
We
real.
said till death do us part, so if you extrapolate that, that means death also parts other women from our sanctity of our marriage. So if they've died and it's a ghost, that's ghost pussy. That's not off limits.
Oh no. Not Ghost Punani.
Do you believe in ghosts?
I want to say no, but I'm sure as soon as I say that, a ghost is gonna be like, "Fuck you, man!" Like you're going.
I'll show you.
You're gonna believe. Trust
I know.
me.
That's why
You said you've had experiences. What ghostly experiences?
So
have
when
you
I
had?
lived in Edmond, there was 2 times, and me and my roommate would talk about. We're like, "Yo, this place is like kind of creepy. There's been some weird stuff that had happened. She had some weird things that happened to her.
At least you're in the microphone.
I know. Sorry, my
Be
bad.
polite.
she
It smells
burps away
like
from the
beef
mic.
jerky
That's
and
almost
Topo
unacceptable.
Chico.
Oh no.
But okay, so one night I was laying in bed and I was like kind of like halfway asleep. I had like kind of woken up and I feel like this, like something like pulled my foot. I swear.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go
somewhere.
somewhere else. I was like,
When
oh
you
no, we were
lifted
just
your
talking.
hand over like your midsection. I was like,
sorry.
uh-oh.
I was like, this isn't good.
I was laying there and I felt like my leg, like, you know, like sometimes you twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was laying there and I felt my leg being pulled, like just like a quick pull.
Like a yank.
Yeah, and my head like slid off the pillow like
What?
this. And I was like, what just happened? And I was like, okay. Like, be calm. And so I like put my head back on the pillow and I like, did I jerk? Did I like do the jerk thing? So I like try to do it as hard as I can to see if I can do it my own. And I was like, mm-mm. And so that happened in Edmond. And so ever since then, I'm like, okay, something weird's going on.
Just be nice to all the ghosts.
Yes.
All the paranormal
Okay,
things.
so then another time, whenever I lived at my old apartment, when Grant and I first moved in together,
And Grant is the boyfriend that you fight at pickleball with.
yes, Grant is
Oh no.
the loving my little golden boy.
Yes.
So we're asleep and I wake up to go to the bathroom and I'm laying there and I had like, I forgot. But I'm looking and I'm back into bed and I'm like laying on my side and I'm facing like Grant. I'm looking at Grant and I'm looking in the corner. Okay. And like, this is like, I can remember his face like so clearly.
Like your new apartment?
No, this was
Okay,
the one we
okay.
lived in before. Okay.
They moved out the next day.
Right. 30
It
seconds
was this
later.
figure of this old man,
Oh, no.
okay? And and I'm not kidding, and I know this sounds crazy, but I am not kidding. And he would do this thing at the corner of my bed. I'm like, I'm gonna explain it too, but
Okay.
he was sitting at the corner. So if I'm like laying here, he's like sitting over there. He would sit like this on the edge. So
Of
his
your
feet-
bed?
Yes.
So his feet were hanging
he's
over the
So
bed.
close.
his feet were like, I wish I could really explain this, but his feet were sitting over and he was just sitting on the bed. He would look forward at the wall,
Oh no.
look forward at me, look back at the wall, stand up, sit back down, look forward at the wall, look back at me. I remember his face. I remember what he looked like. He was like this old white man, had like this droopy face, and he had blue overalls on and like a plaid shirt. And I wake up Grant and I'm like, Grant, do you see that? Are you seeing this? And he like rolls over and he looks and like there's nothing,
Nothing
there.
there.
And he's like,
Oh,
what?
fuck.
He was like,
Yeah.
what? And I was like, there's the man at the end of the bed. And he was like, no, you're freaking out for nothing. And I'm like, that was real.
Okay, I was gonna say because I've had something like that happen to me before, but it wasn't like a ghostly figure. It was like, or it wasn't like that detailed. It was more like sparkles, but like in the shape of a body. So it was like, yeah, I was in my parents' old house, like the one in Edmond. And I always have slept with a light on because one, I like to see whenever I go pee because I had too many times that I've tripped over like shit. So I sleep with the light on and the closet light was on and my bed was facing like just normal. And I had barely opened my eyes just because I felt like just waking up, I guess. I don't know. And so opened my eyes and I like peeked and I saw this like sparkly figure and I was like, okay, and then closed my eyes again and opened it again and it was getting closer. And I
Oh,
literally
shit.
like jolt out of bed, kicking and flailing my hands and my
How old were
legs.
you?
Oh, I think I was like 15. So it wasn't like super recent, but kicking and flailing my legs, and I'm like,
Yeah.
like it can't breathe, and it was
Yeah.
so
Getting
freaky.
closer is not
and I
good.
literally, and then like right whenever I like turned over to just like, I was like, it's fine. Like if you're nice to it, like it won't hurt you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So like I just like turned back over after I had like launched out of bed and like turned to my left side, and I was like, okay. And then so I closed my eyes for like 30 seconds, and then I was like, okay, you gotta be brave. You gotta look. So then I just like slowly turned and it was gone. But that had happened. Yeah. So I know what you're talking about.
Well, and I was telling my boyfriend's parents. I mean, I had told my parents. I called my mom the next day and like called his parents and was telling them. And we had just gotten a cat. We had just gotten Aria, our first cat that we've ever had. And my boyfriend's dad, Craig, he made this point, and I was like, that kind of makes sense. He was like, what if that cat was in like not foster care, but like was up for adoption because his owner passed away, and what if that was like the owner's cat? And I was like, shut up. And he was like, I mean,
Another ghost. There's some paranormal activity in here.
but I was like, oh my God, that kind of like would make sense, because we had just gotten Aria, and I was like, what if like it's his way of being like, okay.
Like, I want to see if you're like a good owner.
Yeah, but the weird thing though was the thing that he was doing was looking straight at the wall, looked back at me, and I had watched it too. I'm like, is my mind playing
Like,
tricks on me? What is going on? So I watched it, and he did it like 4 times. I remember 4 times.
Wait, 4? That's no, I'm just kidding.
I was like, oh my gosh, is
You
it?
never said 4. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But it was straight at the wall to me, straight at the wall, stand up, sit down, straight at the wall.
Was the cat over by the wall?
No,
Do you know?
I don't remember.
Oh.
I don't think so. No, I don't think. I'm
It's like
wait.
he was trying to sit. The cat was like
you
trapped or
have-
something.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Did you
stuck
have
upside
that
down.
cat scratching post over there? Like
No,
over
I
in
had
the way?
nothing in our room.
I was trying to think of like
My mind
if-
went to that was the previous owner of the apartment that had died in there.
Well, okay, there was a really like older person that had lived, and they were like on drugs though. I don't know if
Oh,
anyone
okay,
had
good.
died. I think they had just moved out because they like couldn't afford.
living
drugs.
there.
Yeah.
Or either the drugs
Yeah.
nor living.
No,
But
they
I
can
don't-
afford the drugs.
I
They were
don't
just
think
like-
that like anyone had died though, because don't you have to tell like the owner?
I've always wondered that, like, if somebody like fucking kicks it in an
I'm
apartment.
sure you could look it up on like OSCSN or whatever it's
Maybe
called.
But
so.
here's the thing: like,
CSN.
say that you're an owner of an apartment building. Somebody gets fucking murdered in like Unit 7C. You know nobody's gonna want to live in there. So what do? You drag the body out into the hallway.
Right.
Then you call it in. You have your crew like clean up. All the police are focused in the hallway. You never tell anybody.
I don't know.
That's
'cause
what I would do, because I'd be like, listen, like budget is tight around here. I gotta be able to occupy this apartment.
Yeah, don't worry. There's been an extra cleaning.
Yeah.
Around where the body
COVID
lay.
safe, extra clean.
Yes, extra clean.
But that was so yes, I do believe in ghosts. I do.
Interesting.
Yeah. No,
I would
same.
say now I'm gonna play devil's advocate or ghosts, anti-ghosts advocate, demons Beelzebub's advocate here.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that, because sometimes you know how you'll have like waking dreams where you will be like kind of half asleep,
Yes.
and you'll see the room you're in, and what happens to me a lot is it happens every
Like
now and then.
paralysis?
So like
Like you
lucid
can't move?
dreaming. I love lucid
Almost,
dreaming.
Yeah,
Oh,
where I'll like think, like
Don't even
I
get me
will
started.
literally have a dream of waking up and turning off my alarm, and then my alarm will go off, and I'll wait, and I'll be like, what the fuck? And it'll like take me out of it.
Maybe
Do you
it's
think that
like-
you were like half asleep, half awake, and maybe something from your dream was being like projected into reality?
I mean,
like a subconscious awareness.
yeah.
well, I was up because I mean I had gotten out of bed to go to the bathroom, and then I come back, and like I literally like just laid my head down, and then the fact that I was able to like wake up Grant, I don't know.
Was it just like a random Tuesday? Like you hadn't been drinking? Maybe
No,
you took
yeah,
like
it was-
NyQuil or like what?
No,
it was
like
after my weekly acid trip.
Oh, amazing.
it was like right when COVID had like first started too, so there was like nothing to
Did
do.
you get tested the next day? Was it a COVID symptom?
I don't think it was.
Of course you did.
I don't believe.
Hallucinating men that are protective of cats. That's a new COVID symptom.
Honestly,
He was
as
an
long as
older
he-
white guy.
As long as he wasn't like me.
Of course he was white.
No, he was like very like I didn't feel scared. I was just like, what the fuck is
It's
going
like
on?
trying to process it.
and
Not
then in my head I'm like
please.
I'm like, is this Am I crazy? Am I schizophrenic? What's going on?
First thought, schizophrenia.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe I'm just like hallucinating.
I don't know. And then I woke up crying. He was like,
What? Because if you like wake up someone from a deep sleep, they're like,
yeah.
My
So.
sister used to sleep talk all the time.
Really?
Oh, she slept DJ'd. Beatbox, sorry. Yeah.
What does that mean?
So again, with the pallet in my parents' room, I wasn't there this night, but my mom was telling me about it. So my sister, she is younger than me, but she likes to sleep talk a lot. And her, likes to. I guess she doesn't really have a control of it.
She doesn't do it much, but when she does, she says it's a great time.
Right. Yeah. So this one in particular, like there was one before that where she slept with my mom because my dad was out of town and I wasn't there. And she like woke up my mom and like was hitting her and said, look, his hands. They're like broccoli. Like that is one case. And then sometimes she'll just like wake up and be like hitting me. Like if we're staying at our parents' house for Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever, she'll like be hitting me and just be like, oh, and I'm like, Cameron, just go back to sleep. She's like, oh, seriously? Like her eyes closed and everything. I'm like, don't get sassy with me. I'm sorry. You woke me up screaming gibberish. But so
that's like a really intense, like that's like actual, like almost sleepwalking.
Oh yeah. My mom. So maybe it's hereditary because my mom sleepwalked to her grandma's house.
What?
And it was across the cemetery in Delhi, Oklahoma.
She'd like fall
I
in
do
a
not
lake or
like
something.
that.
Like I would say, I don't know. Well, there wasn't any lakes because it's Delhi and that's just like bare bones, dry land out there.
What if there was a
same. Anyways, so I don't know how she got through all the headstones. Like, how did you not like fall and trip over a headstone or like, cause not all headstones are like up and down. Like some of them are like square and flat to the ground. So she walked from her house all the way to her grandma's house and woke up banging the door. Yeah. And she woke herself up. And
wait. She woke herself up?
She woke herself up because she was banging on the door and I guess it was loud enough to where like
it penetrated her subconscious.
I guess so. But anyway, so that's where I think my sister gets the sleep talking / walking from. Yeah. My sister's
that
more
could
of a
be
sleep
dangerous.
headache.
What if she like slept drove or something?
Yeah, thank God she doesn't take Ambien, right? Because I've heard of people doing that. So,
really? Like sleep drive?
They literally tell you not to drive on Ambien. Once you've taken it, you sit your ass or lay your ass down because it's really scary and dangerous.
I wonder.
Wait, have you ever taken it?
No.
Ambien?
My parents used to be pharmaceutical reps.
Oh,
So they knew a lot about those.
Have you ever done
drugs.
heroin or crack cocaine?
Honestly, my favorite is black tar.
Black
No
tar
heroin,
meth.
just
Seriously, no.
strictly black tar.
Strictly black tar.
Not with the heroin additive. Just
just black tar. Like you see them laying the new streets out down there, and I'm like, oh yes, and
just get a scoop of it.
I just literally like belly flop in it. I'm like, oh, the sizzling of the skin, new skin, like it's great. It's great, better than a chemical peel. But yeah, to go back to this story. My sister was sleeping on a pallet that night and my mom and dad were just watching the nightly news. And she said that my sister started
CNN or Fox?
I don't know. I think it was David Muir. So whoever, oh God, I love him. But anyways, so
Salt and pepper hair.
No, he's younger. He's younger.
Ew,
Great guy though.
ew.
Love him.
I know you love that salt and pepper hair.
I do. It's bad. It's really bad.
What if I was like, and I snapped and like from behind that curtain over there, just like a super handsome,
like a fox,
like 47-year-old, like super fit, salt and pepper hair, came out and he was like,
Oh, baby.
He's like, Marisa.
I'd be like, anyways, have fun with your podcast.
And then there were two.
Yes, and then there were two. But so she was laying there and started talking gibberish, and then my mom's like, "Hey, listen." So then I don't know what she said before, or like how she got onto the topic of DJing, and so she goes, "I know some of you may like this, and some of you may not, but this is how it goes." And she goes, like has the pillow in her sleep, has the pillow across her like lap or whatever, and she's like.
What
like
the fuck?
literally like moving as if she's like DJing, like scratching, like it's the funniest thing. And then she heard my parents laughing and she goes, whatever. And then just like laid down, back to sleep. Like nothing ever happened.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's the craziest story my parents had to tell. Like
it sounds like not only is she a sleep talker, she's kind of sassy in her sleep. Is she like that in real life?
She's mean in her sleep. No, because I wake her up and I'm like, dude, you're like, been talking for the past 10 minutes. Can you shut up? Like I'm trying to sleep too. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, I wasn't. And like rolls over and gets like mad about it. And I'm like, whatever. No, she's super nice. I mean, she can be sassy. Like, we didn't get along at all whenever we were younger.
Really?
Like, until probably like 3 years ago.
Whoa.
Yeah, like because
feel
we're
that.
so close in age, like we're 3 years in grades and 2 years apart in age. And so it's just like, she took my clothes.
Oh,
She took
that's
everything. My shoes were around the same shoe size. And
She used your toothbrush.
I hope
took
she
your-
didn't.
she
She has
took your
great hygiene.
boyfriends, like-
No, thank goodness. We have different tastes in men. But
Oh, that would be horrible. What if you had a sibling like that was attracted to the same sex you were, and you guys were like fighting over a guy or girl? Like that'd be tough.
yeah, I would be like, listen, respect your elders. Like, I'm sorry. But then I'd be like, okay, who do they like? Like, you know what I mean?
And then if they like you, that's great. Let them choose. But if they like your sister, it's like, well, what the fuck do they know anyways? Like,
Right.
they're mine.
Right, exactly. I'm like,
Yeah.
finders keepers, losers weepers. Like, hello.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we just started getting along like 4 years ago.
What was the like, what changed from you guys not getting along to vibing?
I think it was the separation of college, honestly, because we
Needed
had
some
been
time
at this.
apart.
Yeah, we had been at the same school like throughout elementary school, middle school, high school. Like, so then, like, whenever I went to college and came back, it was a lot better just because I think, yeah, we needed the separation for sure.
Gotcha.
I don't
Same,
know.
I feel
And I
that.
think she matured and like I matured and just like being like, okay, like if she borrows my stuff, I know she's going to give it back or not because, Cameron, if you're watching this, you have like 3 shirts of mine. So still. And so, but like, I know like now that she won't like ruin them or she'll give them back if I ask for them and stuff like that. But man, during
Back in the
those
day.
preteen years,
My brother and I used to just beat the shit out of
see,
each
I
other.
could never hit her.
No,
I
we
literally
would like just.
Is your brother older or younger?
younger?
Oh,
and
that's
then he
prime
would get,
for violence because like if it was an older brother, he can't really like hit you, but a younger brother, you guys can like beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Let's hear some.
I mean, we
juicy-
would get like we had a
MMA.
trampoline, and we would get water on the trampoline and get my mom's dish soap. And
Oh,
she
the
fucking
best time.
hated us
Wait,
getting our
what?
dish soap.
We never
make
had
like
a
a-
what's that? What
You
do
never
do?
had a trampoline?
You make a
No.
soapy
My mom said
trampoline.
that.
Sorry, you're poor.
So my mom teaches like fitness, and she says she had a orthopedic surgeon in one of her fitness classes, and one day he told her like trampolines keep him in business, and so she
Oh
was
my
like, my kids aren't
gosh.
getting fucking injured.
Just put the net up.
Yeah.
I
I don't know what your mom's name is, but put the net up.
We
Paula.
had
That's her name, but what came to mind?
we would get the hose and we would water it down. Then we put soap, and then
Get
you
the
just
hose.
yeah. Well, then you just like wrestle on there, and we would be like
So fun.
circling each other like sumo wrestlers,
Oh,
and I'm
hell
like
yeah.
ding ding ding, and then we would just fight, and then we
Oh,
also.
fuck. That actually sounds cool.
I remember this one time we were getting into a huge fight. I mean, but we would like wrestle all the time. It was really bad.
I
like
can't
we
see
would
you
get
ever getting in any confrontation ever of any kind whatsoever.
Oh, I could see her getting into confrontation, but not like
I
a
think
fight.
he's
I'm
being a
joking.
little
I'm
sarcastic.
sarcastic.
Anyways, I can tell.
Yeah, the only person I've ever like put my hands on is for sure my brother. But
Yeah.
we had this hill in front of our house that we grew up living in, and one time we were fighting at the top of the hill, and it was so bad. We started fighting, and on the ground we just rolled down the hill, and he would roll on top of me and like slap me, and then I would roll on top of him and give him a good old punch.
Damn.
And then we'd make it to the end of the hill and like keep fighting, and he'd be like, "I'm gonna tell mom," and I'd be like, "Oh my god, please, no, please don't
Yes.
tell mom." I would like
Yeah.
beg him not to tell our mom, and
See, I think it's just like an older
Fucking
sibling thing
pussy.
to like beg. Fucking pussy.
That's the trump card. Like if you're like with a
Yes.
younger sibling, like you're having a great time, you're like fucking around, whether you're like breaking the rules or bickering, and
Yeah.
if they start calling for the parent,
Oh my
that's like
gosh.
the trump card.
okay,
Yes.
there was one fight in particular though that like we have not gotten to a fight since because he's bigger than me now, and
Oh, shit.
obviously like he's stronger than me, and like if you,
You get in the gym, get your weight up.
I guess so. Damn.
You guys were
We've
they
been
were
doing
working out right before this, so that's what you were prepping for.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm ready to
So if
beat
we
my
look
brother's
sweaty and
ass.
crusty, that's why.
But we were, so sometimes and this would be really fun, my dad would like get in on it with us, and I'd be like, "Dad, be on my team," and he'd like try to hold the other one back while I would like try and get him.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. Well, this time my dad was not on my team.
Oh
Hell
no.
no.
And I was like, and this thing that my brother would do though, if I like, I knew when he was like really mad at me and really about to like go at me, because he would just be like, and like his face would turn red, and I'd be like, oh God, here we go.
Here we go, prepping mentally
He's going
and
like,
physically.
what's that thing from Dragon Ball Z, Super Saiyan or whatever? He's like,
I could literally always tell he would just be red and screaming. And so I knew that he was about to like get really mad. So I had on shorts, and my dad was like holding me down, and my brother was like, we were kind of tickling, but it had turned, it was
into more
escalating.
violence.
Yeah.
And my
Tickling
dad
always never lasts
does.
because tickling is brutal.
Well, my dad had kind of like was trying to stop us at this point, and my brother wails back and slaps me in my leg so hard. And this was before I like, yes,
Oh, no.
this was before I cussed in front of my parents, and
Uh-oh.
because I was a freshman in college, and this was like, I mean, we were still fighting when I was a freshman in college.
That is actually really funny.
But I stood up and I was like, you son of a bitch. And my dad was like, hey. And I like run to my
Gina.
Yeah.
Not Gina.
Yeah, Gina. I'm like, thanks a lot, Dad.
You know what's even worse is like that's actually referencing your mom as well. So he's like, wait a second, my son and my wife are under attack. He starts beating your ass.
Well, and the thing too, so I had said that, and my dad was like, no cussing, and I was just like, and I like run,
Son of a bitch.
I run back to my room, which was on like the other side of the house, and
No,
I'm
she said, your dad says no cussing. You're like, you husband of a bitch.
literally. And you're fine. I'm walking across the house. I passed my mom in the living room, and she like had been asleep, and she was like, what happened? And I was like, your son slapped the shit out of me. And I'm
Oh my
like
God.
pointing at my leg, and I like go to my room. I slam the door, and my mom was like, Jack, you really overdid it. And Jack was like, we were fighting, like she was hitting me first. And so I like came back out, and I was like, I'm sorry for cussing, but that really hurt. I mean, it left a huge whelp on my leg
Did
for
it
like
leave a bruise?
the rest. I don't
Like
remember if I had a
probably
bruise,
small one.
but
I was gonna ask if it was bigger or smaller than the bruise Marissa's pickleball paddle left on her leg.
God.
That's
man.
our benchmark of bruises.
Yeah.
but that
I thought you were
shit.
gonna say like when you woke your mom up, she was gonna be like, I just saw a ghost.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Honey, the ghosts.
The
are
ghosts.
everywhere.
She's like, it was so weird. You'll never believe this old man. He was
This
staring at the
old
wall,
man.
then at me, and then he would stand up and sit back down. He did it 4 times.
Oh God.
4.
See, I
Fuck,
could
four.
never hit my sister.
No,
Like,
we
my
would
sister
slap.
would slap me, pull my hair, punch me, do whatever.
You wouldn't hit her back?
I couldn't. I'd
Why?
literally be like this because I was too strong. Like
Oh, no,
I would
I
really.
would-
She was so small, like a little tiny, like a vanilla wafer. Like you could just flick it and
Give
just
her
like
a good like pinch.
Yeah. Well, see, I just threw things instead to like scare him. So I have like this. I had a hairbrush and I threw it at the wall, and it left like a good old gash in the wall that was like almost an inch deep. And yeah, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, Dad. But yeah.
Oh, I got a story about throwing something. This is not one of those cases
Throwing
where I'm
ass?
like, my friend. Yeah.
throwing ass.
But this actually was my friend. Like, you know how some people will say like they don't want the story to be about them, so be like, oh, my friend, quote unquote.
Right.
This is actually my friend. So it was the first time I'd ever been to her house, and she had just moved in with her boyfriend. And obviously, her and I were there like fucking, so we didn't want him to. No, I'm just
Right.
kidding. No, I'm
No, yeah.
joking. No, all of us were there. That was a joke. And there was a group of us, but I was the only one who hadn't been to their house before. So she was like, "Oh, do you want me to show you around?" And I was like, not really, but I'll be polite, sure." And so she's showing me the house, and she's like, "Here's our room." She's like very proud of their bedroom, and it was really nice. It didn't look like 2 mid-20-somethings that had just moved in together for the first time. It looks
Right,
like a
like put
real
together.
put together.
Put together with a sex swing and everything.
That's the right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But on their closet was a fucking huge hole smashed out of the middle. And I was like,
That's alarming.
exactly. And I was like, what's this? And she was like, oh shit. She's like, I would never have shown you this room if I had remembered that happened 2 nights ago. And I was like,
oh, 2 nights ago.
I was like, bitch,
You're
what
like,
the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
this wasn't like a moving in incident? Or
I
like,
know and I was like, bitch, like, is he hurting you? And
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
like, well, and she's like, she's like hesitant to tell me. And I'm like, I don't want to say her name because I don't want to like expose her. And I was like, oh my God, like she's getting assaulted. Fast forward 2 weeks, she's dead. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like,
Cody, you can't do that.
this is like a murder mystery podcast.
Don't
or
do
like,
that.
It started with a gash in the closet.
No, I'm
Escalated.
sorry. That was mean, but that's not true. So she like wouldn't tell me. I was like, and so then I said, if your safety is at risk, you have to tell me. And she's like, that's not it. And she's like, I'll tell you because I don't want you to think I'm like getting
Right.
hurt.
But that's so nice of you for being like, hey, like, I'll kill a bitch, kill a man.
I mean,
like
I'm gonna
this.
call 911.
I mean, not actually
I'll call
kill
my
him, but just
dad.
like
Yeah, exactly.
beat him to a pulp to where he's almost dead, then call the police and then be like, listen, it was out of the safety of me and my friend.
Exactly.
You know? Like,
But I was like, listen, I have to know if you're okay. She's like, okay, it's not that at all. Like, I'll actually tell you what happened. So she said they were arguing, and he had been like doing laundry, so he had a hanger in his hand. And so the whole time he's waving this hanger around, and it's like a little plastic hanger. And he's like, she said like towards the end of the fight, he's like, whatever. And he just like tosses the hanger at the ground. That's
Okay.
it. And
Yeah.
she said for some reason it made her really mad. She was like, you want to fucking throw shit? You want to throw shit?
Oh,
you
no.
big motherfucker. You want to throw, like, starts getting. So she said she started just like picking things up and throwing them.
oh, shit.
Not at him, just around the room.
Yeah.
And so then she got to like a big ass, you know, those big glass candles?
Yes,
That it's just like
like-
in a glass
yeah,
jar, basically.
yeah.
And she's like, you want to throw, and she threw it. She said the other things she hadn't quite got the right grip on. She said this one, her fingers had hooked inside the glass and
Oh,
she
no.
had a real grip on it. And she said she threw it, and as she threw it, she was like, oh shit, I threw that fucking hard.
Oh,
and
no.
she said it smashes through the closet door and makes this like huge explosion. And she's staring at it. She looks at him. They look at each other. They look at the closet door. They look at each other. They're like, all
Are they
right,
still together?
That got out of hand.
And he was like, hell yeah, babe.
Yes,
nice
they're
throw.
still together. Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's
she
pretty
also
crazy.
she also went out for like the pictures on the MLB team. Did you know that?
Apparently,
picture.
she should.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
really.
but she said that
She threw 90.
kilometers per hour.
Right. Yeah.
No, she said that was how it happened. And now, you know, we can choose to believe that, or we can choose to believe the truth that he tried to beat the shit out. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh shit.
No, and she said
Dark.
that was how it happened. And she even had like the busted up candle to corroborate the story. And I was like, wow,
Okay.
you really did. Like,
Yeah.
you're the violent one. So then I went
Yeah.
downstairs and I asked the boyfriend, I was like, hey, if she's harming you, let me know. I'm just kidding. 2 weeks later, he was dead.
Shut up.
Not again. Not again.
No,
it was
they're
a double
both.
homicide.
They are both dead. No, they're both still alive.
Oh, good.
And I actually
I'm
saw
glad.
him the other day. This is fucking funny. So I was driving the other day, and this is how I saw them. There was a
tasty
car
bike.
that pulled up right next to me, just on the highway, going the same speed. And I had kind of caught it in my peripheral vision, and I was just about to start picking my nose. And I was like,
Mid pick insert or
I
like
was, my
mid.
hand had started to come up, so it
Two.
wasn't obvious what I was doing yet. And I thought to myself, I don't want somebody to see. I better check to see if that car is looking at me. And I looked over, and it was this couple. And I was like, fuck, they just almost saw me pick the fuck out of my nose.
Yeah, you're like, I've had
was
this
like, I'm
booger
so
hanging for
glad-
4 hours. I need to get it.
I'm so glad I looked over, and I was like, hey, oh my gosh. And like, I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, nice to see you, but I got to get you out of here so I can pick my nose.
Right.
So I just kind of like
Naturally.
kept fucking with them long enough where it got awkward. And
Oh, yeah.
they sped up in front of me.
Perfect.
And so they sped up to just in front of me, just out of the, you know, and then I changed lanes so that they couldn't clock me in the mirror. Because even worse
Okay,
than
yeah,
seeing
yeah,
it,
yeah.
you know, profile is they could be looking right at me.
Yeah.
You know, while I'm in the left nostril, left index finger. And that's
Right.
because of the alignment of the left index finger left that you can get really deep. And that was my intention. And so,
had a
but
big
Is that
I
how
had to
the
avoid
kids have
that.
taught you to do
Booger
it?
picking?
Yeah.
It's more like they get really crafty because they have their mask. So they like pull it out with one hand, dig around, put it back down, pull the front, and then eat it. I'm like, you're already fucking down
Wait,
there.
they do, hold on. They do what?
Okay, so like their mask is on.
Yeah.
They get one hand, they pull the chin part out just a couple inches in front. Then they get their other hand and they pick their nose. Okay.
Ew.
Then they pull that nose finger hand down.
Ugh.
They put their mask back on. Then they pull the top part of the mask
Nose
down.
piece.
And then they eat it.
You're like, bro.
And I'm like, dude, you were already down
Whoa.
under your mask.
make a one swipe pass.
like the fuck?
Just get efficient. Go right from the nostril.
I'm
to the mouth.
like, you're already there.
I
Like,
will say that does take care of the problem of getting rid of the booger.
uh,
Now,
Yes.
I'll admit it. I'm a nose picker. I've never been a booger eater, though.
I don't think.
So a problem
anyone
I'm
can
left
say
with
that
is that
they-
the booger's on my finger, and I have to find a place to get rid of it.
As they say,
Little
pick it and
flick.
flick it.
pick and flick.
What if they're gooey? That's the problem you run into.
Roll
where
and
it's
flick.
Okay.
One time, this
find
is
a napkin
terrible.
or even just like on the side of somewhere. You know what I mean?
When I was 10 years old on a family vacation, my mom caught me wiping a booger. And that was traumatizing.
What'd you do?
She got really mad. Like it was weird. She's not like
You're like, you want me to give it to you? Like, where do you want me to put it?
she's not like an irrationally angry person. Now there were a lot of rules. It was very structured.
Right,
But if you
same.
followed the rules, it was like all good.
Easy sailing.
If you broke the rule, you knew there was going to be consequences. So it wasn't common to see her just randomly angry. But I remember that I had kind of like slipped out and I was like, I gotta fucking get this is gross. And I remember I was like, and then I know why she got mad. It just clicked.
Did you wipe it on your sister?
No, that would have been funny.
Oh,
But
okay.
I did. Oh, I have a good story. But I dumped a Diet Coke on my sister's head one time.
Oh no.
But so this booger, I was like the closest room would like because we had like a little condo. It was like a family ski trip. We had went all out. We had this little 2-bedroom condo with
Right.
a little living room. So it was
Little
like
loft
we were
area.
living large. I ducked into their room, and I wiped it on the like corner of like.
Why didn't you just do it on the carpet?
I did. It was like there was a little chest of drawers, and I wiped it on the corner of the ground on the chest of drawers.
Oh my God, this is gross.
I know my mom has a weak stomach, and she saw me do this. She was like, "What are you?"
She's like,
she got
"What
so
are you
mad. She was like,
doing?"
never do that again. That is disgusting. I can't believe that my son is a nose picker.
Get a tissue and put it on there.
When they kind of distance themselves, like I can't believe like my son, like, you know, like they're
Yeah.
trying to hold you at arm's length. They're
And
like,
that's where you
they're not
became the
talking to
second
you,
favorite.
You become an object. Like that's when you know you've disappointed them.
Yeah. So you're the second favorite now.
I was always the second. I was the third favorite actually. There was
Oh,
because I was
behind
supposed
the
to be a twin, and
You ate your twin?
I ate my twin in the womb, and she was like, "Oh damn!" I could tell the one that survived was fucking weird.
Yeah.
But the time I dumped Diet Coke on my sister's head, it's not even that great of a story. We were just arguing, and we were getting mad at each other, and she was like, "I'll call for Dad." And I was like, and the
No,
way
you're
she
not.
said it, like with a little like
With a head bob.
I was like, well, if my dad's gonna come here and get mad anyways, he might as well get super fucking mad. And so I dumped a Diet Coke on her.
Oh, well.
Yeah, lost the cell phone for a week.
How old were you?
Like 16.
Honestly, but makes sense though, because you're old enough to like know it's wrong.
I knew it was
but you
wrong.
did it anyway because you're
chose.
like because you're being a sassy bitch and
Like,
you
that's
want
worth
to
it, I
prove
guess.
that like you're alpha male. You know what I mean?
I don't know
Or
if
in
that
our
was a very
case,
alpha male move.
or maybe alpha female because like I don't know.
Sure.
I just knew it was wrong, and I knew it was gonna be trouble, and I did it anyways. And I wish it didn't feel so good. Like
It does
I
because you're
still
like
vividly remember that.
I belittled you to the point to where you had to go call the parents.
And you know what the best part was the expression on her face. It wasn't the act. It was that she saw me thinking about it. And like we both looked at the cup, looked at each other, and I could tell in a million years she never thought I was going to dump
Actually
that Diet
do
Coke.
it.
She
Yeah.
it never even
Prove them wrong.
it never even occurred to her psyche that was a possibility. And then when I did it, she wasn't even angry at me for like 10 seconds because she was so shocked. She couldn't believe that something like that had happened. And I was like, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was great. And then I went and picked my nose and wiped it all. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, all over. I blew my nose right in her covers.
Double snot rocket
Double
right
snot.
at her.
Oh, speaking of snot rockets.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
my gosh.
Oh, no.
Going back to the bigger, I'm sorry. I
Uh-oh.
just had to. It just
It's
popped in my
fine.
mind.
Go ahead.
So we're sitting driving from my grandma's. And I was sitting in the back seat, and it was me, my sister in the middle, and my cousin on the right side. And she's like, oh, I have to sneeze. This girl has allergies like I've never heard before. Like sneezes every 30 seconds. Is so snotty, just can't breathe, very nasally. And so I don't know if she had been sick or if it was like, I remember it being cold outside because my sister had jeans on. And she leans over and sneezes towards my sister, not covering
what?
her
Why?
nose because I don't think she thought was going to come out of her nose.
Oh,
You know,
no.
I'm not even kidding you. It looked like a fucking slug. Like at least 4 inches in length and 2 inches in diameter.
That's pretty big.
2 inches in diameter. She was a girthy girl, but I looked over and I was like, oh gosh, I can't. I can't do it.
I might have thrown up. I might have.
Cameron literally did. We had to pull over. Yeah, pull over, and
Cameron's your
she.
sister, right?
Cameron's my sister, and she literally.
She was the one that got sneezed on.
Yes. And she was like, I can't. I have to take off these pants. Like I'm pretty sure. I don't remember if she took it off because my mom got it off. I think, but I don't know. My mom has been.
So your cousin's sitting on the outside seat, right?
Turns to the, yes.
Why didn't she just like
turn towards the window or like in her, be a normal human and do it in your elbow?
600 things she could have done besides.
Literally.
Like
sneezed on her. Like I think she thought it was going to be, I think she thought it was going to be funny or something. Just to be like, oh, haha, hee, I see
it was
you.
funny.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, for me it was hilarious. And my dad and me were cracking up, gagging but cracking up.
Oh my God,
it was great.
That sounds traumatic. So like you were saying, the kids in your classes that you teach they like pick their nose and eat their boogers. It reminds me that when I was in 5th grade, they're younger than 5th grade, right?
Pre-K through 4th. Yeah.
Okay, so barely younger. Okay, so in 5th grade, I remember that was when. Because now, if I have to pick my nose, I'm just gonna do it in private or in the car. Because it's like the reason I do it in the car is you just roll down the window,
or just make it look like a nose itch, and you're just like, oh yeah, sorry, my nose itch.
like drilling in there for 30 seconds. But at this time, I thought that I could be inconspicuous about it. So I remember I put my arm in kind of like a right angle formation and like rested my face down in my arm, and I'm like,
like heads up, 7-Up.
Yes, and I was like, oh, this is so sneaky. And so I think I'm like under my desk in my own little like private zone, and I just start going to town, like fucking picking my nose. And one of the coolest kids in our 5th grade class, his name was Jamal. He was crawling around on the floor because in 5th grade, that's what the cool kids did. Like you can walk around, you can sit in a desk, or if you're really fucking cool, you just crawl around on the floor. And he notices me. Immediately he stands up, points at me and goes, he digging in his motherfucking nose. So he says motherfucking, by the way.
Motherfucking.
We're 11. I've never even heard that before.
Right.
And I was like, oh man. So nobody cared that he was crawling on the floor and he said motherfucking.
Right.
All they cared about, it was like 5th grade logic. They just cared that I was picking my nose.
Yes, and now you're the nose picker.
And I was the nose picker. I was like, fuck, man. Like, how can I have just gotten the bathroom pass?
I can't catch a break.
Right. I can't catch a break. I just came up with a cool nickname, and now you got to give me the nose picker. Motherfucking nose picker.
Yeah, that was tough. I remember, man. Last week on the podcast, I told a story about me tripping down the bleachers in the student section. I'll have to tell you about that one. That was brutal.
Oh God.
But Blake, we got a little off topic. I loved it though. But we need to hear about a time when you had a terrible gift experience or overheard something that you weren't supposed to.
So none, you're just perfect. I mean, I'm perfect all the time.
I hear what I need to hear. I see what I need to see.
Yeah. I guess the same.
A terrible gift. I mean,
like, did you get any gag gifts, or like, did you get something for someone that they hated and had to take back?
I'm a pretty good gift giver. I'm not even gonna lie.
What's the best gift you've ever given
or
gotten? Like sometimes, like you can, if you really think about a gift and give it, it goes really well. I want to hear about one of those.
1 year.
She's like, I got my little brother money one time.
She like another 45 minutes later.
One time, well, a gift that I received as a kid, I was in the 5th grade. My parents got us a go-kart, and we had 5 acres of land.
Fuck.
So my dad had actually made a trail out on our acres that we had. Wow. And we would just tear it up, and we tore it up for a bit, and then it kind of got like old. Yeah. Not even gonna lie. Yeah. Kind of like,
you're like, oh, I
privileged.
Do that every day. Oh no, yeah.
Well, it's like it's just like anything. Like if you do it enough, it gets old. Like I always think about being able to fly. Sounds amazing, but if we could all fly, would we even like it, or would it be like
right?
The airline
like it becomes the new running?
Shit out of business.
Yeah, it becomes the new running. It's like, I don't want to go run.
We had it for a really long time, and one day we had out in our because like I said, we had 5 acres, so we had like a huge backyard.
Yeah, we get
it.
Keep flexing.
Yeah, well,
yeah, I get it. 5 acres,
and we had a treehouse.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
My dad was plank of wood on a tree.
Yeah.
So.
You did what?
I had 1 plank of wood on a crab tree that I nailed there myself.
Wow.
Yep, that was my treehouse.
And you tied a little rope to it with a noose at the end, or?
Nope, I should have, because I was so sad that I didn't have a treehouse.
You should have given it mine.
You nail that little plank on there. You're like, Dad, I started it. Will you please help?
Yeah, no, literally. And he was like, where's my hammer? And I'm like, oh, it's outside. He's like, you're grounded. And I'm like, oh. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because I left his nice hammer outside.
So you wiped a booger on it?
No, I just put it back and cried and had to pick up walnuts.
What's that?
outside. Anyways, so your treehouse.
Yeah, 5 acres.
Well, we had a treehouse, but that wasn't part of the story. So one day my dad was like, I want to take this for a ride. And I was like, okay, I'll watch you from a distance. And
never good.
I wish you could. Me and my dad, he's really, really funny.
Yeah.
He's the best.
So
is
he's
he? Salt and pepper hair. Anyway,
Gina was hot back in the
up.
day, but he was. You have to admit, he was a good-looking guy. Like not to be like sexual about it, but like he was handsome.
Yeah, but like it's just.
It's weird saying like my dad was handsome because I feel the same way whenever I talk about my dad, and some people are like,
hey, my
Marisa,
mom
your
and dad
dad's
were
hot.
fucking hot. I'm not even,
Yeah,
listen,
my
I hope
mom-
they're still fucking. You know what
Are
I'm
you?
saying?
Well, I don't want to know. I don't. I hope so, but like I don't also want to know. Like I don't want to think about it. I don't ever. That brain. I mean, it has to go out of my brain right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so back to your dad, hot dad.
Okay. So I'm standing
That's
on
your
the.
super hot, sexy manhunk dad.
I'm standing on our driveway and I'm watching him, and he's like just doing donuts, and that's something my brother and I, we couldn't do donuts like him because he would cut it really he would he would peel out
I guess.
Like
Well,
whenever you go around corners really fast.
Drift.
He
Okay.
was doing really
Mario
cool
Kart.
drifts.
I
and
do
stuff.
so well in that.
So he would do it, and then he would pull back out, and then he'd do it again. It was so cool, and I'm on the drive. I'm like, yeah.
Hell
And then
yeah.
like he does it again, and he tips the whole go kart over. Well, he broke the fucking go kart.
But did he break anything else, like an arm or
No,
anything?
no, no,
Oh, okay, he
no.
was
And
good.
like
That's impressive that he was okay.
I know, like his skull.
I remember. Well, it was like it was a really small like go kart.
well, yeah,
to
like the
ground.
one you sit in, like at Incredible Pizza.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
That
yeah.
place is awesome.
So
I know, love the
he
games.
just falls like right over, and I'm like, Dad, the go kart, and it starts y'all start smoking.
Oh,
And I'm like, no, the go kart, and I'm like laughing, and I'm like watching this thing, and he's like, back up in case.
And it just
never
explodes.
know.
There's a
You
little
never
baby
know.
mushroom, like a little mushroom
Yes,
cloud.
But it was so funny. I remember I had to go inside and be like, Mom, Dad wrecked the go kart, and she was like,
God.
Hey, Dad, what? So she like ran out there, and yeah, we couldn't get it to work after that.
Dang, but that's a good gift though.
Oh yeah, my brother and
is a
I
good
wanted
gift.
one so bad, and I think he got us one off like Craigslist
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
I would love one. Like my dad bought himself a dirt bike, and that's about as. Yeah, I was like, oh, that would be so fun to like go out and ride 4-wheelers and stuff because we had a lot of friends with land. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, that'd be awesome. Buys himself like a dirt bike
His
the next
story
month
for
or two.
like best gift ever given and received. He's like, one time I actually got someone a dirt bike, and
And
then
it was myself.
independently I also received a dirt bike.
Right, because it was way too big, obviously, like their
closed loop.
size, So I was like, oh, this thing can't be that heavy. I could barely get it to go like the kickstand to come out because of how heavy it actually was. So whenever people wreck, you're like, oh, that can't be heavy. Like, surely like 30 pounds, 40 pounds. No, this thing is like, like, I don't even know how heavy they are in real life, but heavy enough to where I could barely push it up a hill.
Damn.
But my dad is like so like secretly cool. He's a man of little words, and he's
Secretly.
like sentimental sometimes, but very military structured, like you were talking about how your parents were. And then he'll just be like, yeah, I need to make sure that the gears still run correctly, and goes out there and pops wheelies back and forth in the neighborhood, just
That's
on the street.
sick.
Yeah. And I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You just look like a Mexican doing tricks. I'm Hispanic, by the way, everyone.
Your last name Martinez. That didn't give it away.
Exactly. Yeah,
You know
I
what's
guess
even
it's true.
more shocking? Me too. If you meet my mom, she
I'll
actually
understand. Wait, no, I
looks
think
Mexican.
I did. On your birthday.
That's right, you did.
Yep. I didn't actually say hello, but I just looked and was like, that's your
Dude.
mom.
On Halloween, I went to this like random party that Zonley had invited me to. It was like his friend's house, so I just went and hung out with them. And of course, because it was like Boom, Zonley, Josh, they were like starting like this like little freestyle circle.
Oh.
So, so
no.
I started hitting the ad libs.
Oh, no. You're like hot dogs.
Yeah, and so they were
Hot
kind of laughing. And then Boom, 3 times in a row, he said, she keeps telling me she's dangerous. She keeps telling me she's dangerous. She keeps telling me she's dangerous. And on the last one I chimed in, I was like, I'm scared. And that ended it. Everybody's like, oh my God.
I'm scared.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Marisa, I'm going to put the spotlight on you.
Okay.
You have said it has been said about you, and you have said that you want to meet the love of your life at a grocery store. Is that true or false?
So true.
It's true.
I have a weird thing for grocery stores.
That is, yeah. Why a specific grocery store? Like, are you want to meet the love of your life?
Like, not like a Walmart. Not like, I'm not hating on Walmart. Great prices and stuff, but
You get what you pay for.
right, like everything you do, I guess. But no, like, I don't know. It could be a Trader Joe's. It could be, an Uptown, more of like an upscale grocery store.
What about an Aldi? What if he's bargain hunting but still tasteful?
I do like Aldi's cheese. Like their cheese section is insane, and they're known for their cheese. But for like
They're
charcuterie
European.
boards,
Yeah.
charcuterie, yeah. And they have like all these like odds and ends stuff. Did you know Aldi is the brother of Trader Joe's?
I actually did know that because I love Aldi.
Yes, I do too. Great prices. Like they have funky things in there, like how Trader Joe's does.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, just cheaper prices and all that. So, I don't know. I just think grocery stores are so organized, especially like the more upscale ones are so clean and just like, I don't know. I'm weird about it. Like
You've
how
also
people
said
are weird
you
about
want to
feet.
own a grocery store.
Oh yeah,
That
I would
goes
love to
beyond
own
being
one.
like an enjoyer. You want to own a grocery store.
Right. I want to like control what is being put in the grocery stores.
That sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It does, but I love that stuff. Like making
Really?
things more efficient.
Okay.
Yeah, like not necessarily numbers. Like that's what like you're for, I guess. We
can partner up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm more of like, I don't know, making sure things run smoothly, making sure people like actually like what you put in grocery stores. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you see some things that are off the shelf, like completely gone. And then you see the other things like a different brand that have only, nothing taken away or like one thing. I don't know. Whenever I got bored at my last job, like just like during a lunch break, if I didn't want to sit there.
Your last job was Department of Defense, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I'd walk in there with all my gear on, but actually I was undercover. So I would just walk through a grocery store whenever I'm bored and like looking at new things and trying new things. So I guess that's where that came from.
So meeting the love of your life at a grocery store, which comes first? You owning the grocery store or you meeting the love of your life at a grocery store?
I think if I met the love of my life at a grocery store, then we'd have to get a grocery store just because it would just have to go with our story.
I was thinking it would how crazy would it be if, you meet the love of your life and he's like, I can't believe we met at a grocery store. And you're like, we met at my grocery store.
I would
So
love
it's the
that
grocery
too.
store you already own.
I would love that too because then it would show like some female dominancy
Yeah.
over like the other person.
You're like, come in the back. I'm going to fuck you on this sack of potatoes back here.
Yeah. Like I actually I couldn't talk because of the beer. It was a little spicy.
3. That's still caught me
But
off
no, I
guard.
would for sure make like a little on-call room for me. Just in case. I'm totally,
like a conjugal visit type of room.
totally kidding. Totally kidding. Keep
It wouldn't be a
stores
room. It'd be
clean.
like a whole condo.
Right, like where I live off the back.
produce section.
Because then whenever I got bored, I'm like, oh, I can't watch any more TV. Then I just go walk around.
That would actually
I'm totally
be fucking
kidding.
cool.
But that would be really cool.
that would be really cool to live in a grocery store.
Oh my gosh. Like on Employee of the Month, whenever they like have those dates in there, the Employee of the Month movie.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, Cody,
good?
you would literally shit your pants laughing so hard.
Wow, that's a
like
powerful laugh.
seriously.
I have a strong asshole. Are you sure I would lose control
Yeah,
that easily?
probably. Because
Okay.
literally there's the funniest. I don't even want to ruin it for you and tell
Okay,
you what they
completely.
say because
Is this
it's
a
so
new or
funny.
old movie?
Old movie, like
2007.
like 2010. No, honestly, I'm not kidding you.
I thought you were
like
saying like a 1940s
no,
movie.
no, not like a 1940s where it's black and white. No,
That's like saying like somebody's old, like 31. I'm like, yeah, my girlfriend's fucking 31.
yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm sorry, 2006.
Ooh.
So
I do
very
make
old.
jokes to her about that all the time now.
Yeah, very old. Jessica Simpson
not
is in
look
it. Dane Cook is in it.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
Dane Cook, Jessica Simpson, and Dak Shepard, and it is.
Jesus Christ, that sounds like a fucking mid 2000s train wreck.
Oh no, you would think, but it is so
works?
great. It works.
Okay.
Just because like the quirkiness of it, and just like I think his name is Pedro in it. Oh gosh, just
Whose name is Pedro? One of the white people's?
No, he's just like his I would say more of like a sidekick, villain sidekick.
Of course,
type
the
of
Mexican
thing.
guy is the sidekick.
I know, right? We're the best.
Despicable.
We're the best. But anyways,
Your
so
main character.
yeah, it's like him. There's like a villain and a sidekick, like, and then how there always is. And then he's, I guess, could be seen as like the hero and then the damsel in distress, but she's not really in distress. She's just
like, I'm
playing
Jessica
out her
Simpson,
options.
I'm just chilling.
Yeah. So you'll have to watch it.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out.
It's seriously one of my favorite top 2 movies for sure.
What's your other one?
I have no idea, but
It's
probably. I know it's not a movie, but Phantom of the Opera was on Netflix for a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just weird. I'm like a melting pot. How they're like, oh, America's a melting pot. Me,
No, you're the melting
I am
pot.
America, and I am the melting pot.
I have this is the serious topic of the week.
Okay.
I want to know what you guys think about this. It's kind of hard to set up or explain, but the idea of being nice versus being fake versus being honest. I think that's kind of an interesting nebulous nexus point. So like
Fancy words.
What I mean by that is there's different schools of thought. Like some people say like, oh, you should always keep it real, and some people say like you should put your best foot forward. You know, for example, say that you were in a conversation and somebody said something that you disagreed with or you found annoying. And I'm not saying like they said something racist where it's like you're called to action. I'm saying that maybe they said like, you know, just something you found annoying, or they're telling an annoying story. That's a better example. They're telling an annoying story that you just don't want to hear. Do you think you should politely listen and nod along, or you should keep it real and be like, this doesn't interest me, I'm going to go do my own thing?
I could never do that.
I know. I don't know. I always feel like, I don't know. I guess it just depends on the situation.
Okay, so like example, our friend group, like that we have, all of our girls,
Right.
if like they're not interested in a story, they will turn the
And
other way.
completely
and
start
just
another one. But
That,
me
like-
and Blake aren't like that. Like
Would you consider that rude or honest?
I
or
mean,
both?
if you're not interested, just like sit there and out of like courtesy and just be like, yeah, like you're passionate about it, or like you're telling the story.
Because
Like,
we've even told that like when we're with our friend, we were like, dude, too many people like just don't listen to like what somebody else is saying. Like if they're
Interesting.
not listening, they will just turn their head
or like
and
if
start another
yeah.
conversation.
It's
with
not even
someone.
if they're not listening, if they're not interested anymore. Like you'll be telling a story about how you love Eminem, and they'll be like, mm-hmm. And then you'll literally be in mid sentence, and she'll just.
Oh, but like all of our friends do that.
It's crazy.
Just like our little friend group that we have, and I think it's just.
That's interesting.
And the thing is that none of them realize it. Like if I do that, I'm like, I am so sorry, Blake. Like, please tell me more about it. Like I did not mean to cut you off. I didn't mean to like, you know, interject or anything. But like, tell me more.
Yeah.
And our other friends give zero shits, and they'll just turn and then not even realize that they do it unless we say something and like prompts like, hey, like I was telling you a story.
And
So
like now
that's
I don't want to
honest.
tell it anymore.
So they're going with the like keeping it real. Like if I'm not interested, I'm not going to give it my time.
Not
kind of
even
thing?
no, because it's not. They're not
I think
self-aware
that
about it.
So
it's
many
different.
of our friends too have like ADHD. They just like can't.
It does, and it's
they
so
can't-
hard.
They
I am
can't
one of those
keep
friends.
up of like what's going on. Like if you're in a
Yeah.
group and you're at a big table and one person's having a story, and then like it's just okay. Can't. You know, I'm like in kindergarten. I can't stay focused
here,
that long. It's like
yeah.
squirrel. Like
Which
you
I
know.
mean, that's really a true thing. It's sorry.
It is. And
It's
it's
hard.
hard though too. Like when you are listening to someone and you're like,
Yes, you're like, hello. I'm giving all of my might right now. Like, well, not all the time, but just like in general.
But
I feel
I
like if
could
you have
not-
ADHD, like
right.
present,
And
then
I don't have ADHD, so it's easy for me to like listen and understand like what somebody's saying and like give them my attention. And I think that's too why I want to be a counselor, because I can do that. I don't get like distracted in that way. But like our friend group, it's just like fuck you.
yeah, like, and it's not even. I don't know. I don't know. It's
So-
not even like honesty. It's just like.
Kind
They
of a
don't
lack
realize
of
they're doing.
self-awareness.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
100% lack
yeah.
of self-awareness.
So let's say that somebody does. You're telling a story and they just kind of tune out and go to the next one. Do you think what's the appropriate response? So say that you were telling Marisa a story, Blake, we're telling Marisa a story, and she just kind of turned away and started doing her own thing. Do you think you should be polite and say like, "Oh, she wasn't interested. I'm going to take that social signal and move on," or should you put your foot in the ground and be like, "Hey, I was actually in the middle of the story. That was rude." And then at least you're letting her know you can still turn away and do your own thing, but now you know you're being rude. What do you think?
So for me
that?
personally, I just am like, okay, whatever. Like,
yeah,
they're
usually
not-
me
I'm
and
just-
Blake are on the same page to where we just
Yeah.
like look at each other and we're like,
Well,
literally it's either like, oh, okay.
or I'll
just
look
like,
at her and be like, I was listening.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
Here.
Yeah. But,
So, but I mean,
Or I'll
if
just-
it was somebody like Grant that did that, my boyfriend, I would be like, yo, what are you doing?
I'll
I'm
even-
talking to you, you know, but like
Gotcha.
with
Yeah.
someone that's just close friends. And I think I would even do it like with my best friend Grace. Like I would tell her, but like I wouldn't go any.
I would 100% because Anna's one of my best friends, so I'd do it with Anna for sure. I'm like, hey, like I was talking to you.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, like, do you not want to hear the story? Because if not, then I'll just stop telling it.
Yeah.
Like, just let me know and just be like, oh, hold on, you know, or
Yeah.
just like a nice pause.
That's another thing. Would you, if you're the listener and you have this habit of turning away, is that like, are you sending an appropriate social signal? Or the other two options would be telling that person, hey, this story is just not interesting. Like, I'm going to move on. Or is it because you're their friend and at some point you'll be telling a story you expect them to listen to? Do you have to just kind of like suck it up sometimes? What do you guys
Option
think about
three.
that?
I feel like it's a combination between like that and the first one for me. Like, oh, if there's something more. Like the thing about ADHD, you can listen to like 6 conversations at once and know
It's like
at
a
least
superpower.
it is kind of where you can at least know like the subject of what they're talking about. Maybe not as intimately as you would like to, but so I would be like, if I heard something over there and then she was telling me a story, like say that you were telling a story to someone else, then I'd just be like, hey, hold on, I think that they're talking about this, and then I'd go to you. But that's just because I've learned how to do that from like.
But you
Right.
would preface
Big
it with
meetings.
the like, hey, I
Like,
appreciate that you're talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like, I don't know. I try to not do that in like a professional setting, but
Right.
in like a friendship setting, I'd be like, hey, just a sec. And like, then I'd tune into that conversation if it was like something that was more like if they were talking passionately about it or like if it was a serious topic, then I'd try to tune the other one out more to where I'd pay more attention to where like, you know, you're their friend, you should be
So
listening.
like if somebody's
Yeah.
telling you, they're like, it's been really hard. I'm contemplating like taking my own life. And you're like, one sec, they're actually telling about
I would
boy
never do
trauma.
that. I would literally be like, okay, let's go to a more private place to talk about this if you're more comfortable with that, obviously.
Yeah.
But like,
so private that they're alone for an extended period of time.
right, to where like nothing will distract me. And that's the only thing that I'm focusing on. But yeah, like, I don't know.
think any of our friend group does it in like a
Purposeful way.
like
Okay.
malicious way. I
No.
think it's just like
It is because of the.
I think I might have heard
ADHD
something
thing.
better over here, so I'm gonna turn my
Right,
head
like,
and
it's-
like
it's
it's
more,
like,
like,
wait, okay,
intriguing.
well, fuck
Yeah.
me.
It's like whenever you're petting a dog and they're like sleeping and then they hear a squirrel and all of a sudden they just go up into
Yeah.
a squirrel. It's kind of like that.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry, it's the beer.
No, that's really funny. I love how you like make sure to put the mic front and center when you burp.
Front and
That
center.
is funny.
I want them to hear it intimately.
What about like being nice versus being fake in the context of say that you, because you know how like you have your core friends, a larger friend group, and then each of your friends has some other friends that are kind of outside your group, and in larger settings you'll be around people that you might not necessarily like very much.
Oh, yeah.
Is it, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this without like having to use a
like an example?
yeah, and be like when I'm
think
forced
we
to
know
hang
what
out
we're
with Blake,
talking about.
you know, like
Yeah.
me and Blake, we're beefing. We don't get along.
Right.
Is it better for me to pretend and invite her on my podcast and act like I like her, or should I just tell her straight to her face, I fucking hate you?
Blake.
I'm joking. But
When did
say
this
that-
beef start?
No, me and Blake are friends. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, say that you're around somebody that you don't necessarily get along with.
Right.
Is it better to, if you end up in a conversation with them, to be fake and be like, oh my gosh, how's your day? How are you doing? Like, oh, that's so crazy. And like, have a conversation, or better to just be like, listen, I don't really fuck with this person like that. I'm not going to pretend.
Yeah, I don't.
Blake's really good at not pretending at all. Like if we're in a group of people, like if it's just us girls going out and this guy like walks up to us and she doesn't vibe with him, she will literally be like, get away. Like for
Yeah.
example, that guy like that was like the
Oh, you
pool
might
guy.
have been there. We played pickleball.
After pickleball, we went to the. No, you might have gone home. Wilshire patio.
I did go home, so I had to get up early the next day.
Yeah, so we went there, and this guy was this older guy was super drunk and like very touchy for no reason, and just like.
Well, and what had made me mad too is one of our friends came up and said he came up to me and touched me, and I felt uncomfortable. Like he was like trying to hug her, and I was like,
and she was like,
I was like, no,
like,
don't.
Unless it's
weird.
invited. I don't know. I'm a hugger, so I'm like, oh, sorry, like, But if it's like a drunk guy that we had been kind of watching him for the past like hour, just like. Being
Espionage.
creepy,
So,
espionage.
oh my gosh, that made me so mad that night. I was
because
so
then he just like came up to Blake and like was hugging on her, and she was like, "Get off!"
Yeah, I had to like freaking what do you call it in football?
Like
Stiff arm?
Heisman him.
Stiff arm. Yeah, I'm like get away.
Heismaned
nasty.
him. Yeah.
Nasty.
think
Well,
that
I
brings
just don't. I don't want my friends to be uncomfortable.
No, and she literally screamed it, which is great.
That brings up another interesting point where perhaps being nice, you have to consider your safety in a certain scenario because
for sure.
that is like a drunk male around a group of younger females. I think you're right. Like at a certain point, like being nice, it may compromise your own safety. Like that's not a wrinkle I had thought of. That's a luxury I enjoy by being male that sometimes I'm not aware of. So like that I hadn't even thought of.
And one thing too, I have like come to address more with myself, and like if I'm in a public setting, like I hate being uncomfortable by a male, and if I am uncomfortable by a male, I'm going to make it known. Like if I'm in Walmart and I feel weird with a guy, I'm going to be like, what are you doing? Why are you following me? Like that's never happened, but I'm just saying, like I'm not afraid. I'm tired of, and I'm not trying to like say
if you're in the
anything
tampon
to-
aisle and like a creepy man has followed you there, he's not looking for tampons.
I know,
Right.
right? But I'm so tired of men like, and I'm not trying to
all
say
men.
you,
No.
not all men.
These creepy men specifically.
I'm not offended by it. I'm
That's-
just,
These creepy men
that just make
specifically.
women constantly feel uncomfortable and like make them almost feel like they're being kind of bitchy if you do say something to them. It's like, no, you make me feel uncomfortable. I'm going to make it known. Like it's not fair that you get to make me uncomfortable and I don't get to say anything.
Yeah.
So
Such a good point.
when I went to Miami twice this summer, and that was kind of like my okay, no more.
The turning point.
Yes, because Miami men were like,
Oh my gosh, they're aggressive.
oh, they're so
They're
gross.
disgusting,
They're so gross.
aggressive.
I don't know what it is about guys in Miami, but they're like, I had this one guy.
It's a cesspool.
We were,
And it's Florida. I mean, what you know,
I know,
what do you
right?
expect down there?
We were in at the beach, and we were coming back off, and they have showers you can like rinse off.
Yeah, like an outdoor shower.
Yeah, and we were in our bathing suits and like trying to get the sand off, and this guy like comes up and he's just staring at us.
Oh boy.
And I look at him and I was like, "What?" And he was like, he like kissed at me, like went
Oh
like,
God.
and I was
I
just
would
like,
have roundhouse kicked
oh,
him.
I went up to him and I was like, "Fuck you, get the fuck away from us!" Like that is so weird. And he was just like, "Oh, don't come up to me and yell at me like that." And I'm like, "What?
I'm
You're
sorry.
watching
You
us,
were
like-
literally catcalling me
Yeah,
whenever
and,
I mean, like, if I
just-
wanted it, then I would have been like, oh, hey, giving him a little kiss back. But like, I didn't want it. And I was just trying to shower off the sand off my body. Get
Yeah.
out.
That is
So-
an angle I hadn't even thought of. I'm so glad you brought that up because I think that you're right. So often the narrative that's like forced out is like, oh, hey, baby, you look good. And she's like, ew, no, I'm just being nice. What the fuck,
Yeah.
bitch? Like,
Yeah, like I think
know?
it's so bitchy, like for unwanted.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
compliments.
Ooh,
And
that's
it's-
so true.
It's kind of a hard, like a tricky thing to balance between like,
Because I mean,
that's
like,
so
if you
true.
are into it, like go for it, have fun. But like
Right.
if you're not, and he keeps
doing it
trying
over
to,
and over.
it's like, okay, now I have to be a bitch.
yeah, like after
and-
shutting it down.
I don't know. I would not even use that word because you're not being a bitch. If
Right,
if a guy
right.
is, if anybody is giving unwanted attention and you have now sent the signal of, I'm letting you know it's unwanted.
Yeah.
And they are choosing to either continue or have this like abrasive reaction to it, like, what the fuck? You know?
Yeah.
That's not being a bitch. That's them being, I
That's
don't know,
being
a loser.
honest.
Yeah.
It's being
There you go.
honest.
Being
There you
honest.
So it's
There you
In an
go.
aggressive way, but it sometimes has to get to
Yeah.
that point of aggression where you're
That's
like,
such a good point. I hadn't even thought of when would you have to consider your own safety when you're being nice versus when you're being fake isn't even the right word. Like
fake nice.
honest versus
if I'm about to
polite.
get murdered,
Yeah.
fake nice
Exactly.
for sure. Like, oh my gosh, you're so great. Like you're so
Yeah.
cute. Like let's get married.
Yeah.
Just don't kill me. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
like being fake nice for that specific reason. I guess then again, it's your
Then
own
it could
safety.
work.
But yeah, I don't know if it's just like a friend that I don't really vibe with. I don't think I hate anyone necessarily.
Yeah.
Like
I think there's people that annoy me for sure,
they
but
annoy me, or like I dislike some of the things that they've done, and I know who you are as a person, so I'm not gonna vibe with you.
Yeah.
I'll still be nice, like if they come up and say like, "Hey," I'm gonna be like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And that'll be the extent of our conversation. I'm not gonna get more than surface level with you.
See, I don't even like when we're in a group setting and there's people that are there that I am like, they annoy me. I don't even go out of my way to like say anything to them because I'm just like,
Yeah, if they just happen to cross paths, like you're not gonna be rude and be like,
right.
"Stinky girl, ew, you smell like poopy." Like you're not gonna be rude for. At least that's how I was like
Yeah.
raised, to not be rude to anybody for no reason,
Right.
Unless they give you a reason, like, yeah, your safety, or they were being rude first.
Like if they're ugly.
Yeah,
I guess, yeah, that's absolutely
For
number one
sure.
on my list.
Yeah. If somebody's ugly, you just gotta go. You gotta go out of your way to let them know, like, hey, society doesn't want you.
Yeah.
The world does not like you. You know.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
But I don't know. I'm not like the fake person, like I am who I am around every single group of people. So it's like,
right.
I don't know.
I think that
And that's
brings up an
always how I've
interesting point,
been.
is that it sounds like there's a lot of gray area where sometimes it behooves you. I'm using a lot of big words.
I was about to say jargon.
You can
girl.
hearken back to Christmas of a childhood. Now we're behooving each
The
other.
nebulas.
It's not a sexual thing. That sound, if we're behooving each other, that does sound like a weird sexual fetish. But like sometimes it behooves you to be polite or nice. Maybe in even a workplace setting where it's like somebody annoys you, like your boss is prattling on in a meeting.
Yeah.
And you could easily be like, ugh, you know, be like, oh wow, that's a great point. This meeting definitely couldn't have been an email, you know?
Honestly, okay, so I had a work situation to where like there was this lady that
The orthopedic clinic manager, Paige.
Yes, her specifically. No, me and her, like we got along for most parts, but there was one specific thing to where like I was the like newbie, the like younger girl who just got out of college, and she had been working there for like 10 years. She was really great, like knew exactly what she was doing in her job, was really good at it, all that stuff. But there was like one specific project that we were working on, and like my idea just happened to work better with the situation. And like, I would say a little more than half the group agreed. So I'd say like four to five out of the 7 that we were in this group with agreed. And she just kept saying, you know, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And this is when I had to be like fake nice, to where it was like, okay, like I love your idea, but here's the pen to paper. And I just slid it over to her and I said, this is what's going to work with my idea. This is what's not going to work with your idea. And this is like, you have to almost show people because they're not self-aware. It's like going back to that self-awareness thing of like, this is what you're doing. And you know, it's just not
And I'm
working.
sure that on some level she felt threatened by you as well. Because
Well, I'm sure.
if you're newer and younger and you're already, you know, and I'm sure, you know, obviously
Yeah,
she,
which
she
I
sounds
mean, just-
ugly, so you're so much hotter.
No, she was just doing her job, and maybe she was just being devil's advocate, but it wasn't coming off that way. And so like I was just getting frustrated, and I think it's like a difference of, you know, a professional and non-professional setting, like more of a personal vibe. But
Yeah.
then you have to be fake nice and fake honest.
What about
Yeah.
Not
this
fake
is
honest,
like
but honest.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, because it made me think of like another caveat where maybe even if it hurts somebody's feelings, what about if somebody's coming to you for advice? Do you think it's best to always be real and tell them exactly what you think? Or are there times when you're just like,
This one's hard.
yeah, do whatever? See, because I'll tell you the way that I usually evaluate it, and because then I want to hear what you guys think. Because sometimes, like, the question's not super clear is why I'm giving an example. So if like an acquaintance asks me like, oh man, whether it's like, oh, I'm dating this girl, or I got this job, or I got, you know, this personal problem, I think I should do this, what should I do? If I don't know them that well, I'm probably going to say, you know, whatever you think is best. You know, it's like, what the fuck do
And
I
it's
know about your
hard,
life?
especially with an acquaintance, because you don't know how they've previously acted or how it's affected them.
Yeah,
by
and you
their
might not even know the whole
decisions.
story, because if you're not
Right.
close with them, there might be tons of details you don't get to see. But if
Yeah.
it's somebody that I'm super close to, I'm more inclined to be honest, even if it may hurt their feelings in the short term or be something they don't want to hear.
Yeah.
So, you know,
know.
I'm curious what you guys think on that.
I think it just depends for me on the situation. Again, it's all like all these scenarios of like being fake, nice, and honest and being real is like it just depends on the situation, because if it's my sister, I'm going to be honest and real all at the same time.
Yeah.
And then, but also like fake nice. Like, I don't know, if I don't really like her shirt and I wouldn't wear it, but it looks great on her, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's such a cute shirt. Like, it looks great on you, but I could never wear it, type of thing.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
What about
am
you,
the
Blake?
same way. Well, with friends, I definitely would be straight up because that's what I would want. But ultimately, like what I've found, and that, like, even when friends in relationships, like, they're going to do what they want to do regardless
end of
of
the
what
day.
you tell them. And so you could give them the best advice you've ever given and really hype them up. But at the end of the day, like, if they choose to do something different, like, that's what they chose to do. And I think you can be an influence to a point, but ultimately it's like up to the person.
I agree. That's a very, how she said that. You put that beautifully. Wow, you're so good with your words.
You know?
So it sounds like whether it's polite, fake nice, keeping it real, or being harshly honest, it sounds like and tell me if you guys agree, there's a lot of gray area, and it largely depends on a number of factors, like your relationship to that person, the stakes of the situation. Like, if a close friend comes to you with and they're like, you know what, I have $50,000 in my savings account. I could either pay my student loans or I could invest in this cryptocurrency. It sounds like you would be really honest with them. But if an acquaintance comes up to you and says, like, I got $10 and I kind of want a chicken sandwich, you're going to be like, okay, I mean, do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
You
Like,
know?
either way, you're going to lose money. So, because you're probably going to spend it on something else down the road. So,
Right.
I like what you said about people are going to do what they're going to do. So would you say in that case, it is actually better to be forthcoming and honest so that no matter what they choose, at least you can be like, listen, I told them the truth at least.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. I think that's why I would rather be honest and give the best advice that I could, because I can tell them, all rainbows and butterflies, but it's
either way,
just,
they're not going to listen to it. It's almost like the
I-
delivery about it, too.
Yeah, if
like
they,
not
like,
being like
choose-
super rude.
Right,
Like
right.
pressing it with like, hey, I'm just going to be honest and this is how I feel and I don't want you it might be offensive to you, but that's not how I'm meaning it to come across.
And I always like to say, like, for any of my friends, if I'm talking to them about whatever, I always like to say, from a friend's perspective, this is what I'm thinking. And I tell them, like, seeing this as your friend, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I don't like personally. But, like, this is on you. This is your problem. You're going to deal with it how you want. But this is how it affects me in my friend perspective. So
I like that, where the way you preface something, you can say the same thing, but it comes across two different ways. Like,
100%. People
If
are so
you're-
receptive of tone. And so,
yeah,
you
like
have
if
to
you're
base it
saying
off that.
something like if somebody comes, I would say the most common one where people get touchy, like, is relationships. Like,
oh, for sure.
if
Yeah.
a friend comes to me or like one of your friends comes to you, I actually think, not to make it a gender thing, I think girls are better at discussing relationship stuff with their friends. I know that, like, I've seen some guy friends of mine that are in really bad relationships and just won't talk about it, won't address it, but I feel like
Same.
Well, and if you see it and you're like, yeah, that guy you're with is a shitty dude. He sucks. He's an asshole. But if you're like, from a friend's perspective, he
Like, these
is
are the
hurting you.
things.
He's doing A, B, and C. Like, yeah, he is an asshole, and I think that. But like, it hurts to see like how this is
Yeah.
happening as a friend. And I think it kind of helps them understand too. Like, oh fuck, like people notice that
Yeah.
I am hurting, or he is doing this, and like I thought maybe people weren't noticing. But like people see that shit,
Yeah, it's more of like being empathetic than sympathetic, like trying to understand the perspective and problem rather than just trying to fix it. Like being sympathetic, you try to fix things and just like, give your advice rather than, I don't know, give advice in more of like an understanding way.
like come at it from a point of view of like, because I care about you, it worries me this way or that way. Like, it sounds like you could say something like, instead of saying, oh, your significant other is a piece of shit and is treating you bad, now you're almost making it more adversarial, where that person feels, whether they mean it or not, they feel like they have to defend somebody that is closer to them that you're calling out. Where, what if you were to frame it as in, it makes me worry about you when I see your significant other behave like this, and from my perspective, it affects you this way. Like, normally you wouldn't do or say this, and because of their actions, it seems to me that you're doing or saying this is that true? And like making it more of a question, putting it on them. Like they have to say and admit that either no, it's not affecting me, and if they're lying, like they'll know
They'll know it, and it'll make
so
them, like,
more so
think about it
pointing
more.
out to something that they maybe know deep down, and that they are a little too. It's like not like the self-awareness thing. Like it's hard to address. Like it's hard to see. What's that Bible verse? Not to make it like a biblical thing. It's like point out before you point out the splinter in someone's eye, take the log out of your own or something like that. I think that is a really good one, because it's easy to like look at other people's relationships and be like, oh my God, like, you know, their partner's a piece of shit, or they treat them terrible, whatever. But it's hard to see in your own situation.
Well, also too, like even with social media, you see the shitty, but also you see like, oh my gosh, so and so are so perfect, they're so great together, this, that, and whatever, and turns out like they're not perfect.
So
and
all the
they
time
put on
you
this
see
like
that.
persona of how everything's like rainbows and butterflies, and like turns out it's not. And I think that plays into part too, like because sometimes you just don't see everything that happens behind closed doors.
That's really true. Like nobody's gonna post a picture on social media
Of
them
them
like crying and being like, me and my boyfriend just got in a huge fight.
Or
Literally.
throwing that glass in the doorway and
Or
be like,
the candle and being like, rah!
right.
Breaking
Yeah.
a candle with
I feel like
that's funny.
more
That's true.
influencers are getting, like, at least some that I follow are getting more real about how like their mental health is, and like all that kind of stuff, because mental health is a big topic and like is definitely needs to get better around this state. But just like being real, like here's what I posted on, like this girl, for example, she's like a fitness instructor, and she was like, here's what I post on social media. It'll be her body looking perfectly ripped, like just like no cellulite, no wrinkles, no nothing at all. And then she'll post a picture of her sitting in the car in like a bikini, which was the post.
Yeah.
And she's like, but bodies can also look like this, like the same body. And so it's good because it's like
angles and lighting making a huge difference.
yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's nice because then that way, like it's teaching those girls, even young to old, that like nobody's perfect.
Yeah. I'm
Literally,
glad.
I mean,
that
I am, but like it's
Insta-
hard to achieve it.
But I am glad that Instagram wasn't as like poppin' as it
Literally,
is.
because I look at some of my posts.
Well, when I was
Lord.
13, I would have like, I think I would have looked at my body differently for
for
sure.
Can you imagine what it's like being a kid trying to like grow up and grow into your body with social media being so
Right,
prevalent?
or even just like
Fucking
even being
hard.
from a male perspective, like, oh, like why is he so tall, like why is he so built, why am I like bigger, why am I smaller? There's, I mean, everything that you can think wrong about yourself, it's like for male or female, either way, it's just like social media is bad or good. It's just
like when you grow up, I think it's easier to sort through and be self-aware. Like, you know, I'm working on my own shit. Like, hey, they look great. Good for them.
Yeah.
I'm on my own journey. But when you're younger, it's hard to like mentally separate. And you're like,
Oh, it
shit,
is,
fuck,
'cause-
like, I want to
Yeah.
look like that.
you don't even
Yeah.
understand your own feelings like at that point. I mean, shoot, I don't even understand my feelings at this point.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you're better at, like you said, deciphering between like one thing versus the other. But in a book that really helped me, I looked it up, Insight by Tasha Urich.
Okay.
I think is how you say it. It's
Sponsor
so
us.
good. Sponsor us, because I love your book. It's literally highlighted. I've told everyone to watch
Tasha.
it. Thanks, Tasha.
Everyone to watch the book. They just look at the book and they osmosis it.
Yeah. So it's called Insight, and it says the surprising truth, how others see us, how we see ourselves, and why the answers matter more than we think. And
Okay.
I'm not even kidding you. I'm about to read it again because it's that good.
Did you buy it?
Yeah, I bought it on Amazon, I think, or maybe it was
I'll
Barnes
just
Noble.
borrow yours.
You can just borrow mine. You can borrow mine. Use a different highlighter.
Okay.
I would love to see the differing perspectives.
Okay.
She gives it back to like a day later. She's like, Marissa, you are a sick woman. The things you highlighted in here.
No, but
how could you miss the point so
So
colossally?
bad. It's like just everything that's opposite of mine, she's highlighted. No, but it's a
whole book
really
is just
good
yellow.
book because it has to do with like not only leadership, but like, you know, finding out things about yourself. Like, you know, how I say that, like, I say like, oh, hold on, Blake. Like that's something I've learned from this book. And I read it like probably in 2020, maybe early 2020, like March. And it was so interesting to see how it affected like my personal relationships and professional.
Gotcha.
It's a really good book. Very
It is.
interesting.
I'm going to read that. I think to wrap up today, what I want to do is pretty much we were talking a lot of like examples and ways of honest insight, honest feedback, let's each give a real world example of a time when we have been honest or fake and it has gone good or bad, like what we learned from it. Like, that's kind of hard to understand. Like, I'll go first. But what I mean is, I remember a time, and I talked about it on the first episode, like, I really tried to be cool in high school. Like, my freshman and sophomore year, I wanted to be cool so bad. Even, like, half my junior year. I remember not being, like, really comfortable in my own skin until, like, late junior year and then senior year. But I remember that I would be, like, really fake nice to these people that I thought were cool. And it's not that I should have been rude to them, but I was always, like, such a yes man. Oh, yeah, that show's funny, or that joke is funny, or I like this thing, or yeah, this or that, and I look back and like cringe so hard because I was like so fucking fake. But then on the flip side of it is, like, sometimes I'll look back in relationships at times when I haven't been honest, not like, baby, I cheated and I've been lying, but like simply like, hey, our dynamic I don't feel is working for either of us. You know, we need to have an honest conversation about
trying
it.
to make it work.
You know,
instead of just like,
so
accepting the fact that
going
you know,
on.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned, like, and you guys both know her, Paige, my girlfriend, she's like, when we both started seeing each other, we were very like upfront with each other that in past relationships there were things that we wanted to say to partners and we didn't because we wanted to like protect the other person's feelings.
Right.
Like, oh, this will hurt their feelings, or maybe we thought they just can't handle it. Like, if I'm really honest about this, it's going to hurt their feelings. And going into it, we both said to each other, even before we were dating, even when we were just like friends, we said, we want to be able to be honest with each other. Even if it will hurt each other's feelings, we have to be able to express what we're really thinking.
Yeah.
And there have been some really like awkward, sad, uncomfortable, and like painful conversations. And each time in the short term, I was like, God, that really fucking sucked. Whether I'm the one doing the talking, saying like, hey, this isn't working for me, or she's doing the talking where, hey, I don't like this, and if you know, if this doesn't change, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like looking back, it's like, wow, not only was that actually not that big a deal and we figured it out, but getting it out there in the open made me feel so much better, kind of took the power away from it and allowed us to really look at it for what it was. So I guess both my examples would be like, when I was fake, I regret it. And when I was honest, you know, it feels good. So I guess that reveals kind of which way I lean. I do think there is a time for being like fake nice, like in a workplace or like an acquaintance when if they're saying something that you find annoying, to be like, that's annoying. It's
Right.
like, oh, good for you for being honest. That was fucking rude.
My favorite thing to be like, if you're like not agreeing with, you're like, I don't know. Like where they can tell you're uncomfortable, but like that you don't really agree with it. It's just like, but you're being honest at the same
I always
time
say
in
that's
just like a
interesting.
slight way. Yeah. Or just like,
That's interesting.
yeah. Or I'm like,
That's bizarre.
how bizarre.
Like,
Well, apparently.
How bizarre.
like somebody tells you
How
something, you can
bizarre.
tell they're looking for a response. You're like, that's one way of looking at it.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I feel like I've heard you say that before.
I probably have.
Probably have at pickleball after me and Blake have said a few choice words.
That's one way to play the game.
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah.
you know?
There you go.
What about you guys? What's the situation where you've either been like that fake polite, or whether you've been like harsh and honest, and like looking back, you feel a certain way about it?
I would have to say for me, it would be that work situation where I was like, no, here's the facts, lady. Like I was nice about it. I was like, no, like this is why it won't work and mine will. And it wasn't, I was like, and the group agrees, but I mean, it was just nice. But I mean, I don't feel like looking back at it, I was like, heck yeah, because I'm usually that type of way that just kind of agrees. And like, unless it's like really wrong, then I'll be like, no, like, come on, think of it a different way, like whatever. But you know,
It would have been so easy being the less experienced staff member, being newer, younger, and that person having authority. It would have been so easy for you to be kind of the agreeable yes person.
Yeah, 'cause that's
and be
how I was at
I guess
first.
if you know what's best, we could go with your idea. But the fact that you kind of stood up, held your ground, and you
Yeah.
almost did both. Like you were polite in the delivery.
yeah, I was,
but
yeah.
steadfast in the here is what the best option is.
Yeah, and I think it's you always present facts for like nicely. I feel like you could almost always get your way. You know what I mean? Not like get your way, but like as in like I don't know. It's
Like, if
it's
you're
not
gonna-
taken, like how you said, it's not taken badly, and you kind of like are standing up for yourself at the same time.
There's definitely been times when I didn't mean to cut you. I'm
No,
just
you're
like
fine.
a short thing. Like when I've been like, because I know I made it sound like, oh yeah, honesty, but like there's definitely times I've been like fake nice, which is a strong way to put it. That I've actually been really happy about it, because there are definitely times when an acquaintance or in a work situation where
Yeah.
I have just not liked somebody and just put on a totally fake polite face, and it's worked out really well.
Yeah, it's all of like, will this benefit me? And I know that sounds selfish, but it really is like,
No, yeah.
how
It
will
is.
this benefit me? Is it benefiting them in any way? Because like, you know, us working together, although I find them annoying, like, or disagreeable at most times, then like, will it benefit the overall bigger picture, I guess.
Yeah.
And as long as like, I don't know, like I've always said hi to people along the street who happen to glance at me just because I'm like, I never know what kind of day they're having. So like, I don't know. That's always
You're
how
almost
I've been.
always considering like, what's the goal here? Like if it's
Yeah.
advice to a friend about their love life, the goal is to really be a good friend to them. But if it's, you
It's
know,
like be a good
with
friend
a
to
coworker,
listen.
you know, about a project, the goal is to execute the project the best. So there's like different, like we were talking about it earlier. It seems like there's a lot of gray area. We got to consider the situation, the relationship, the stakes. But
All
I
of
really
it.
want to hear what you were going to say.
I remember one situation where I used to, like, I've gotten better at being confrontational over the years, but my senior year of playing basketball, you know, when it's your senior year and you're just like want the best, you want the best year to be your senior.
You want
know?
everything to go perfectly.
Yeah, and you want everybody to like be on their A game,
hype, fun,
yeah,
silly,
you know,
goofy mood.
And like our senior year, we were good, but we weren't. My sophomore and junior year, we were really, really good, and so my senior year, I was kind of like, ugh, why are we just like mediocre? And so there had been some things that had happened on the team, and like I was really not happy with the things that were going on like off of the court, and I was really upset about it, but I didn't know how to approach it. And we had lost like 2 or 3 games in a row. I remember my coach was like, I was a senior, and so she was like, what's going on? Why are you guys like not together? Something seems off. Is something going on? And in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what's going on off of the court, but I'm not gonna snitch. So it's like, you know,
Be a
like,
snitches.
I'm not
Snitches
gonna
get
like
stitches.
tell them what they're doing. So it's like, I know, like I'll handle it. She was like, our assistant coach, I remember, was saying like, y'all need to get it together, or I'm gonna like, coach is asking what's going on, and I don't want to have to like, you know, throw you under the bus, or like the senior, you know, whatever. So we had lost a game, and I hated doing this. Oh my God, it sucked so bad. And we were like changing, and I was like, hey guys, like before everybody leaves, can we talk for just a second?
Oh, I bet that was fucking hard.
Oh my God, I was about to cry just saying that. Like
Yeah.
because I hate
when your voice shakes and you're like,
Well, that, and
Your
I
phone gets
I felt like
Talk for a moment.
yeah.
I felt like I was about to have to get onto them, and these are like my friends, and I'm like,
I'm just thinking of like the age you were, the situation, like
Yeah.
that
like
shit is
being
always
like
hard.
trying to be a leader without
yeah,
it
and like
coming off wrong.
so I had started, and I was like, guys, like we're doing this outside of practice. This is not good. And this girl in particular laughed in my face.
Oh,
Damn.
that's
She
the worst
laughed
thing. You're
in
like,
my face,
okay,
and I
game on.
was immediately so mad, and I could feel tears coming in my eyes. And I
I'm
was
a
like,
mad crier too.
do not cry, bitch. So I looked at her, and I was like, what's so funny? Why are you
Oh
laughing?
hell yeah!
And she
I
was
love
just
that you, if somebody does something fucked up, just asking them the question of why are you doing that sometimes is so powerful.
I
Yes.
know. And so I had said that, and I don't even remember what she said, but then like she started smarting off to the girl next to her, and they were kind of laughing, and I was like, okay, like this is the problem. And so
Yes.
then it had just like snowballed into, okay, well, you guys are doing this, because it had just really pissed me off, and I was like, okay, so I'm really gonna
floodgates.
go off.
Floodgates are
And I'm
open.
like, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. And I remember I had said something to one of my best friends at the time, and I said it to her, and as soon as I said it, I was like, fuck.
regret.
No.
And
back up.
I was like so caught up in the moment, and I was like, whatever, y'all. So next time they ask me like what's going on, I'll just be honest with them if that's what it needs to happen. And like, I remember 2 girls in particular were really mad at me, And I hated that too because I was like, I don't want anyone to ever be mad at me. But then like the next day we were fine. And they're still like, they're my friends. I consider all of my teammates that I've had in the past my friends. But at that moment, I just wanted to be like, why are you being so mean to me?
Yeah.
But
You're like, I'm trying to help everyone out.
looking back, I wish that I wouldn't have snowballed. I wish I would have been like, guys,
like kept a cool head about it.
been like more of a mom approach. Like, guys, I'm concerned that this is going on. They're asking me this stuff. What do I need to tell them so that they will get off my back? Instead of being like, you're doing this and it is leading to this and we are losing because of you doing this. And like,
instead of like pointing fingers, more of like a group approach of like, what is going on here in this team that can help us?
So yeah, I'm glad that I spoke up and said something. And I remember too, I had this girl that was a senior too, and I remember being like, you're gonna have my back, right? Like if we start talking, like you're gonna have my back. It was Maddie Lee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I was like, Maddie.
That's the girl that went to our
I
college.
don't know,
Yeah.
but I just love how
sorry.
you're like, it's a friend.
But
That's so funny.
I was like, you're gonna have my back, right? And she's like, yeah, like I'll say this and this. Maddie Lee did not say a thing. And I still was like, Maddie, you didn't say anything. I was the only one that said anything.
After the big speech, she's like, guys, I don't know why Blake was like crazy like that.
Right.
Yeah. You're like, I don't know what happened.
But even after that,
Trying
I
to
was
play
like,
devil's
Yeah,
advocate.
she's like, that's crazy that she acted like that.
and so looking back, I wish I would have done about it in a different way. But I'm also glad that I wasn't like fake. I was real, but maybe I was a little too harsh.
Like it's just like not even like over emotional. It's more of like so many problems had come up and just
right. And
you're
they
like,
were again.
wrath.
These girls were my friends. They still are. Like we were close, and the fact that they were, in my opinion, at the time, I felt like they were being disrespectful. And I just was like, couldn't believe my eyes of like the disrespect.
Oh, it's just
And so
you should have just looked at her and been like, you're disappointing me. That's the worst thing. My parents could ground me, just take everything away. And if they're like, I'm disappointed in you, that game over for me.
Like starting those conversations is so hard, and I think doing it the right way just comes with practice. So the fact that you were able to get over that, whether it's fear, uncomfortableness,
Crying.
knowing it's gonna suck, like anger, the ability to get over that and have the conversation anyway, you looking back, you should be proud. So I think that's
I am. There
good.
is the one thing I would take back is looking at she's one of my best friends now, and she, I never knew how bad I had like hurt her by saying what I said to her until like years. I say years. It was like a year later. She was like, "Hey, do you remember that one time you said
my weave was stanky?"
Yeah. She was like, you had said this in a way, and like it made me so upset. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. And then that's when I really started to replay the whole situation. I was like, damn, I should have went about that differently. I am so sorry. But I have learned from it too. Like now, even when I'm talking to my friends, like the whole friend perspective, I try not to be like, yo, you're an idiot, like try to be like
belittling them. You want to like encourage them while belittling.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you're voicing a concern, I've found the best way to do it. And again, I'm sure my approach isn't like the most nuanced, but what's worked the best in my life is like, say that I thought one of you guys was being an asshole. And I could, instead of being like, you're being an asshole, sometimes it works best to be like, when you do this specific thing, it makes me feel like shit or feel like this. And then saying, when you do that, how do you mean that?
Right.
And so then they have the chance to say like, well, I mean to be an asshole. And you're like, wow, okay, you're just you fuck you.
No, I
then.
meant it.
And sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. And sometimes it can reveal like, hey, there is some tension here. Let's talk through it. But it's like starting those is so hard. So I think it's cool that you're able to start it.
I did it.
You call some bitches
Practicing in the
out.
mirror 400 hours.
And the thing is, I think if I would have practiced, it was just whenever it was something that snapped in my head when the specific girl started laughing, I was like,
I would have been like, my hand is up and I'm choking you in the air right
it's
now.
It's your senior year. You want the best. You want to do the best. You want the team to play the best. You want them to be on their A game for practice, this, out, and whatever. And I get it. Like, as when I wasn't a senior, I didn't get it.
The importance of
but
it.
when I am a senior, it hits different because it's like, damn, I'm really gonna be done after this.
Yeah.
Shit. So
yeah,
it's just
You guys are cool for playing sports in college. I guess.
I mean, I play golf. That's more like a skill.
I was just a social queen. That's it. Sorry.
That's true. Well, now we all play the sport of pickleball.
Yeah, we
Yes.
do. We do.
Yes.
Pickleball is some serious shit. We got to
It
figure
is.
out our scheduling because
I know we've been
I
off our
know.
game.
Yeah,
a
we
couple
gotta
weeks.
get back on
Yeah,
it.
for like 3 weeks.
I know
2
we got to
weeks.
get
I
back
feel
on
like
it.
with the cold weather now, it's like harder to get a.
We're gonna have to book
record.
it out months in advance.
I think so. I do have some ideas though that
Okay.
I'll share
I
with
can't
you
wait.
guys off air because I don't want everybody listening to steal my ideas.
Exactly.
Man, we really tackled it all today. We tackled
did.
Christmas presents, the art of gift giving, ghost stories, communication, and the nuances of it, among many other things. I thank you both for coming to.
It was
Should we just call
fun.
this place the studio? I feel like there's.
The
I'll name it a
studio.
more creative thing in the future.
Yeah.
The
So
stewed.
far, the studio.
The
We have a new
stewed.
Polaroid for the wall of memories.
I love it. Can't
We
wait.
have new memories for our own memories.
Yes. I can't wait to what? I can't wait to erase them. What? Just kidding.
What if your
Yeah,
mind works
honesty.
like that? You could like plug it into a little USB and like
Honestly,
erase it.
sometimes I wish.
Thank you both for coming.
Fun times.
Editor, which is me tomorrow. Roll the outro music.